teased at the outset of the game, it's the backdrop to Mike Piazza Night at Shea. Baseball's all-time home run hitting catcher. Quite an impressive array of catching greats will honor Mike in a pregame ceremony. Among them, the man that Mike passed to get to the all-time record, Carlton Fisk. Good to have you along. Fellow Hall of Famer Tom Seaver on hand. Ralph Kiner will be joining us in just a few moments. He'll be on the field for the pregame ceremonies. But, Tom, I think it's fitting that on Mike Piazza Night, he's behind a plate catching this evening.
Yeah, that's exactly where he should be, no question, David. And what a celebration he had. 4 Hall of Famers here in attendance before today's ball game down there celebrating the festivities with Mike Piazza, Carlton Fisk, Johnny Bench, Yogi Berra, who started this all, the glamorous position of catcher, and Gary Carter, all here to celebrate and help Mike Piazza have a wonderful day at Shea.
So a great night for Mike, and we haven't even talked about Richard Hidalgo. He is in right field starting for the Mets. In a moment, though, we'll be sending it down to the field, and the master of ceremonies, the radio voice of the New York Mets, Gary Cohen, to kick off tonight's proceedings here at Shea Stadium. It's Mike Piazza Night at the ballpark. Back at Shea Stadium, an evening shower has cooled things off a bit. Nice prelude for Mike Piazza Night as Mike's all-time record of 352 home runs by a catcher, now at 355, is celebrated. Let's listen in.
Piazza rips it. Will it stay fair? Goodbye, home run! Mike Piazza, a 3-run homer.
This may be it. Deep to left center. Little going back. Warning track wall. Number 300 as a catcher.
Just like paradise. Just like Paris. This must be just like living in paradise. Here I go again on my own. Going down the only road I've ever known. Like a drifter, I was born to walk alone. And I made up my mind.
Home run! Home run!
It's out of here!
We got it.
It's out of here!
Here I go again on my own. Going down the only road I've ever known. Like a drifter, I was born to walk alone. 'Cause I know what it means to walk alone an open street.
3-1 pitch, and Piazza drives one in the air to deep right center field. Back goes Tucker looking up, and it's out of here! Mike Piazza has now hit more home runs than any catcher in the history of Major League Baseball.
Mets fans have grown accustomed to Mike Piazza's amazing feats. But this latest great moment has been a career in the making. When Yogi Berra belted his 300th home run, he became the first member of a new club. No catcher had ever reached that mark. His record would fall, though, and the torch was passed. First to Johnny Bench, and then to Carlton Fisk, and finally, on May 5th, 2004, a former 62nd round draft pick stood alone atop an elite list of catchers as the home run champ. Mike Piazza's 352nd home run made history. And with each new round tripper, Mike continues his climb up a ladder of baseball greats, surpassing Berra, DiMaggio, and Hodges, securing his place among the elite hitters regardless of position. And now, the Mets are proud to introduce 4 great home run hitting catchers, men whose careers have already seen them enshrined in the Hall of Fame at Cooperstown. An 11-time All-Star who ranks 6th on the all-time list with 298 home runs as a catcher, please welcome New York Mets 1986 World Champion catcher, Gary Carter. A three-time MVP with 15 trips to the All-Star game. His 306 homers rank him 4th on the all-time list. The manager of the 1973 You Gotta Believe pennant-winning Mets, Yogi Berra. The 11-time All-Star and 2-time Most Valuable Player with 327 career long balls as a catcher. He ranks 3rd on the all-time list. The captain of the Big Red Machine, Johnny Bench.
Where is it?
His 351 home runs as a catcher was the final hurdle in Mike Piazza's pursuit of history. A 12-time All-Star and member of baseball's Hall of Fame, ladies and gentlemen, Carlton Fisk. And finally, on May 5th, 2004, with his 352nd career home run as a catcher, he assumed the top spot on baseball's all-time list. Our honoree for tonight, Mike Piazza. At this time, the New York Mets invite Mike's catching brethren to present him with a very special memento. Mounted on this plaque is the home plate Mike touched to end his trot into the record books. We are also pleased to announce that Carlton Fisk is also here as a special envoy from the Baseball Hall of Fame. The bat Mike used to belt his record-breaking home run will be taken to Cooperstown and displayed in the Hall of Fame to commemorate this historic achievement.
Okay, let's go.
Yogi, hold this, will ya?
Yeah, yo.
Let the strong guys hold this.
Go ahead, Gary.
Mike, the New York Mets have commissioned a unique etched crystal piece commemorating your title as the catcher's home run king. This gift is presented on behalf of the Mets by Ralph Kiner, Art Howe, Jim Duquette, and Jeff Wilpon. And now, with a gift from Mike's teammates, here's Mets captain John Franco.
Mike, on behalf of the manager, Art Howe, coaches, and players, we'd like to present you with this rare dessert wine that you've had your eye on for a couple of days. Steve Traxel told us to buy it because you've been drinking all of his wine on the flights. So we'd like to present you with this wine, a little memento from your teammates and everybody in the organization. We also like to give you a Cartier watch from the teammates, which, if I could open it, say, I said something nice on it. Can't even see. Oh. Congratulations on 352 all-time home run catches, the New York Mets 2004.
And finally, presenting a gift from Chevrolet, Ed Pieper, the Northeast Regional General Manager for Vehicle Sales, Service, and Marketing for General Motors, and Joel Lieberman of Dobler and Valley Stream Chevrolet on Long Island, representing the Chevrolet dealers.
Thanks, Gary. And on behalf of our Chevrolet dealers, United Auto Workers, 1618, and the men and women of General Motors, and in recognition of your record-setting achievement and outstanding career, Mike, we would like to present you with the keys to this 2004 Chevrolet SSR. With its retractable hardtop, a pickup bed, and 300 horsepower, no other auto manufacturer has a roadster like the Chevrolet SSR. And with 352 home runs, no other team has a catcher like you. Congratulations, Mike. I'm so proud of you.
And now, Here to introduce our guest of honor is the man who helped launch Mike Piazza's baseball career. Ladies and gentlemen, Tommy Lasorda.
Thank you very much. Indeed an honor. I thank the Mets for allowing me to come here today to be with these great catchers of modern times. When Michael was drafted on the 62nd round, I've been very, very proud of his accomplishments. But the thing that I am even more prouder of is when he went to the Baseball Academy in the Dominican Republic for 3 months and lived in a dormitory with 45 young men who couldn't speak English, and he couldn't speak a word of Spanish. When he got drafted, he told me that it wouldn't be long. Through endless hours of hard work and desire, he came to the major leagues, and he's been here ever since. I'm so proud of him. When he played for me, he played baseball like my wife shops all day long. Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest home run hitting catcher of all time, Michael Piazza.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So much for a small ceremony. Wow, where do I start? First and foremost, I really would like to thank these great Hall of Fame catchers for taking time out of their schedules to come here tonight to honor me with their presence. I can't tell you how honored I really am. I first and foremost would like to thank my family, my mother, my father, and all my brothers that are here tonight for their love and support. My girlfriend Alicia for her love and support. I'll tell you what, I am so blessed to have such great people close to me, and just as important is the support from all of you fans here who have welcomed me into your family. And I truly feel that you've brought the best out of me. I would also like to thank Lance and Yvonne for taking part of this ceremony tonight. I have so much tremendous respect for these two gentlemen here as well. And I hope, Yvonne, that someday that you're catching more than me now, you pass this so I can honor you when you break my record. Thank you. My teammates with those wonderful gifts. All I could say is, wow, I can't wait to retire now. This is a great first course. Again, enjoy the game this evening, and keep pulling for us. We're playing hard, and we truly appreciate all your support. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Piazza.
Well, and obviously touched, and I think more than a bit blown away, Mike Piazza and his dad Vince just barely hanging on throughout what was for him an emotional ceremony, watching his boy celebrated like that, a tremendous array of gifts. Tom, I just wish they had been able to find Mike Piazza a big bottle of wine. You know, why settle for the rinky-dink little bottle? It's going to be gone in like 5 minutes. You see the size of that thing, and the car is a great gift, and the watch, and I think Mike was truly deeply touched by it.
Well, it's a great event from the standpoint of what his career has meant to this organization, what it has meant to all of baseball. And I think he was exactly right when he came out, and the very first words out of his mouth this evening. And the people that he thanked the most were those 4 Hall of Famers sitting there who are part of the history of this game, and Mike certainly is joining them, It's in the present tense because he has more things to say about it. Johnny Bench, many people consider the best catcher ever in the history of baseball all around, standing next to the guy who was the best offensive catcher that's ever played the game of baseball. So it is very, very fitting. And it's quite a tribute to a guy he's not close to the end of a career either.
Yeah, even though he kidded about that at the end.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, you get to this point, I think he's got his eyes, and I would not be surprised. As good a shape that he is in, and as much as he takes care of himself, it's in the back of his mind. I have never heard him talk about it. 500 home runs have got to be back there somewhere, because that is a very, very magical mark for anybody, regardless of what position.
Well, there's Pudge Rodriguez, right off the shoulder of Yogi Berra, of course. What an array of catching talent we have seen here tonight as the Hall of Famers hit the field to celebrate with Mike Piazza. We've got a ball game to play, too. It's game one between the Mets and the Tigers coming up from Shea Stadium in just a moment.
Right center field, hit well, and there's the record. Mike Piazza, and he is now officially the greatest home run hitting catcher in the history of the game.
From Shea Stadium, the New York Mets are on the air, and tonight the Mets will host the Tigers in game one of a three-game series. Lefty Tommy Glavine looks to keep his all-star season humming along. He'll take on fellow left-hander Nate Robertson.
You can see his numbers. This is not one of his better years so far. This year he's hitting .256 with 4 home runs and 30 RBIs. But you can see in 2000 he had a very good year, put up some big numbers. That is what the Mets are hoping he can do here for this organization. They definitely need to have some pop in their offense. I had a chance to speak with him earlier, and this is what he had to say about arriving here at Shea Stadium.
I keep working hard, believe me at myself, and just play hard and do my best. That's what I'm going to try to do.
You sort of look at this as a fresh start and just sort of a new beginning?
Yeah, so I feel it like that. So it's kind of like zero for me right now. I'm just going to enjoy my game and enjoy my team.
And that was our Newsday quote book for today. That does from here down the field. I'm going to go up to my buddies now up in the booth, guys.
All right, you always have a place with us, Kip. Always a friendly place in the booth. Great to have you along tonight. Mike Piazza in the lineup for the New York Mets. Catching tonight, as we told you at the top of the show, he's hitting out of the 3 spot. The Tigers and the Mets, the first pitch right around the corner. The Tigers have really turned things around from a season ago when they were an absolutely dreadful baseball team. The New York Mets and the Tigers coming in with identical records of 31 wins and 34 losses. And Tommy Glavine on the mound tonight, coming in with an 8-3 record. The left-hander carrying the lowest ERA in baseball into his 15th start of the season. And we talk about Richard Hidalgo and what has gone wrong this season for Hidalgo, and the phrase everyone's bandying about here, Tom Seaver, Shea Stadium, change of scenery, and how that could really help a guy who is still only 28 years old, presumably in the prime of his career. In that ballpark, in Minute Maid Park, he got very, very pull conscious. Easy to do. It's only 315 feet down the left field line to those Crawford boxes, and that was, from all reports, and I just talked with Jimmy Williams a couple of days ago in Houston, he said that was the biggest thing, pulling off the ball, looking to pull everything, the outside stuff he couldn't get to.
Fly balls to center field. Those read as fly balls to center field, yep.
And that was the biggest thing that the Mets figured, well, we can get him straightened out. And part of that, maybe 50% of it, is just swinging the bat at Shea Stadium, because it's 338 down the line. Then 371 and 410. You got to crush it to get it out there.
Yeah, and as we have talked about, Shea Stadium is not what you would call, I call it a fair ballpark. It certainly does not favor the hitter by any means at all. And this is a ballpark that if you are an all-field hitter, meaning if you're a right-handed, hit the ball to right field and left field, this is perfect for Hidalgo. Make him comfortable being able to go to right center. If he tries to hit the ball in the bat in the gaps between the outfielders, the center fielder, right fielder, and the center fielder, left field, then you're in good shape. And the home runs will come, as Mike Piazza certainly has shown, when you have that kind of power.
Here is young Brandon Essex, young man afflicted with juvenile diabetes, a big Mike Piazza fan. He's a 6th grader from Staten Island. His father, Bob, a Port Authority police officer who survived 1993 and the 9/11 attacks on the World Trade Center. How about that? Brandon getting that first pitch to his idol, Mike Piazza. So a wonderful night for Mike, and also one of his many young fans, Brandon Essex, here at Shea Stadium. I thought very classy of Mike, typical of Mike Piazza, to say something like this, but at the end of the ceremony, turning to Pudge Rodriguez, great catcher for the Tigers, going to be an all-star again. In fact, the vote leader right now at his position in the American League over Posada, and a home run hitter throughout his career, and saying, I look forward to the day when I can come to your ceremony when you break my home run record.
Well, you know, Mike Piazza was talking about before, and I think it was a very classy remark. And one of the things that if you followed, and I followed Mike Piazza for most of the day with the rest of the press, and one thing that you got from him of how proud he was to be a catcher, to play that position for so long, for physically to withstand all the demands that you have to undergo if you're going to be a catcher in the big leagues. And how proud it was that he could sit there and turn and look at Johnny Bench and look at Carlton Fisk and Gary Carter and Yogi Berra and said, I am proud to be in this fraternity of catchers in this position with you. And he means that sincerely, absolutely. I don't think there's one doubt about it.
Let's give you a look now at the starting lineup. Tommy Glavine will be facing for Detroit. It's brought to you by your Tri-State Quality Ford store. Alex Sanchez is in center field. Pretty good hitter, as you can tell. Brandon Inge is the third baseman. Pudge Rodriguez the catcher. Dmitri Young back in their lineup. He's been injured at first base, but he can rake. Rondell White in left, Craig Monroe in right field, Omar Infante at second, Jason Smith is the shortstop, and Nate Robertson, the pitcher, batting ninth against Glavine, coming in 7-3 in that ERA of 2.03, the best in the majors.
Minuscule, 2.03 earned run average. He's averaging about 7 innings pitched per start, 65 hits and 25 walks. That's 90 base runners and 97 innings pitched. So you can figure out what that means. That is a spectacular innings pitched to hit and walk ratio.
So Glavine's first pitch of the ball game under clearing skies at Shea is in there for a strike. We are underway at 7:33. Sanchez, a .339 hitter with 2 homers and 17 runs batted in. The Tigers just split a doubleheader in Philadelphia on Thursday, and they've won 6 of their last 8 games. They're playing pretty well. Tom Seaver, Dave O'Brien, and Ralph Kiner just joining us from being on the field for the pregame ceremonies for Mike Piazza. Of all the guys on the field, you were my favorite tonight, Ralph.
I thought your speech was a little long, Ralph, by the way, but I know you said you were going to cut it down, but
I only waved with one hand. I thought it was short enough.
Gave it the Hall of Fame wave, didn't you? The count, 2 balls and 1 strike. Inge up next. As mentioned, quite a turnaround for this Detroit Tiger team from their disastrous 2003. Oh, what a play by Zeal. Handcuff, and he makes the play and gets the out. A hot shot. It skipped and almost got by Zeal, but he steals a hit from Sanchez.
What do they say? Look in the other hand to find a gold watch. Great play by Zeal on a real tough sliced line drive.
Actually, he didn't even backhand that ball, too. He turned that ball around and saw that ball come into his glove. We got a second here. Let's take a look at the defense, brought to you by your local Lincoln Mercury dealers. For the Mets, Spencer Cameron and Hidalgo in the outfield. Zeal, Matsui, Wiggin, Phillips, and Mike Piazza fittingly behind home plate.
Inge tried to check, but it's in there for a strike anyway. Brandon Inge in 283, 7 homers, 30 runs batted in. He's a young man who's hit for a little bit of power given the chance in clutch situations. He's hit 2 grand slams this year, and that is outside. And Ralph, you mentioned the gold watch on the play by Zeal. Mike Piazza got a beautiful watch with the inscription on the back given to him by his teammates. Johnny Franco out there making the presentation. That and that bottle of wine that Tom Seaver had his eye on. And Tom, what was it? I mean, this is a very pricey bottle of wine.
That was Chateau Yquem, a very famous French house, Sauterne, dessert wine. At least that's what it read from here, and it was a large format as it's called, and I'm sure that it was picked out by Steve Traxel.
No, it's
and
really,
very fitting for the occasion.
Really amazing how you can read the labels on those wine bottles.
It's just a guess. As I was looking through my binoculars, it was, you know, when they get over that $1,000 mark, I can read them loud and clear. Big boy.
Yeah, you can see.
You look for your best friend to buy it.
They tend to show up on the menu pretty good. Here's the 2-2. Line shot. Zeal can't get this one. It's a base hit for Brandon Inge. He's aboard with one out. And that'll bring up Pudge Rodriguez. So Glavine to face a guy he's seen a few times, but maybe not seen as hot as Pudge is right now. In fact, he's the top hitter in the American League at 356.
He also is the top vote getter of all the catchers in baseball for the All-Star game. He's really the man that turned this ball club around.
Oh boy, did they need to be turned around, didn't they? Last year, the Tigers lost the first 9 games they played. They were 1-17 on April 22nd, on their way to losing 119 games. But Pudge has given them immediate legitimacy, especially at his position, obviously. But I mean, he's hitting 356, 9 homers, 47 RBIs. He's having a better statistical year than he did for the Marlins last year.
They had a great playoff series. Carried the ball club for the Marlins. And of course, that 119 losses was one short of what the Mets did in 1962. They had 120 losses.
Well, you have a lot of ways to improve a ball club when you drop 119. And Detroit general manager David Dombrowski added Pudge Rodriguez along with Rondell White, Carlos Guillen, the shortstop, Fernando Vina, the second baseman, Uguet Urbina, the closer. And suddenly the Tigers became respectable, if not contenders. In some of the areas where they're performing well, hitting 284, tops in the American League. They're scoring plenty of runs. And they can hit the long ball on occasion. That's saying something in their ballpark.
They have a big park in the new park, very long in center field.
Well, that's a 15-game hitting streak for Pudge Rodriguez. He lines that one. Inge into second. He pulls up there. And the first 3 hitters, Sanchez, Inge, and Pudge Rodriguez, have hit the ball sharply off Glavine.
Duly noted, David, no question. 3 batters in this inning for Detroit. They have all hit the ball right on the button. At first pitch, a great play by Zeal at third, or else they would have their first run of the ball game. As Tommy Glavine still looking for his first out. Excuse me, looking for his second out after that great play by Zeal on the leadoff hitter.
No, here's a guy you can double up, Dmitri Young. He's hitting 271, just 1 home run, and his numbers are down because he's been on the disabled list. Still making his way back from a fractured right fibula, suffered in early April. He fouls that one away for a strike.
And your point, we're very well taken there too, David, is that many young pitchers wonder, they say, well, what's important in this game, and do a pitcher. The first out in the inning is the most important out, and the reason you just brought up potential double play, because you can get out of an inning, get out of a jam with 1 pitch. Tommy Glavine is still looking for that good 1 pitch because he has given up it. The ball has been hit hard 3 times off of it.
2 on, 1 out. Ground ball short. Matsui off balance. The second bobble drop. Got the out there. It rolls away. The runner Inge will be held at third. Got the out there at second base. A double play ball. It was hit sharply.
I don't believe they could have got the double play. Would have taken a fantastic pivot by Wigginton. He lost possession of the ball in the act of throwing the ball, so it's ruled out at second base. But they did get 1 important out. Now runners at first and third with 2 men out.
One cannot assume an error on a double play ball. You cannot assume he would have turned 2. So they're on at the corners with 2 down. Glavine may be thinking he ought to be out of the inning. Now he has to face Rondell White, who's at 290 with 9 homers. Another of the additions was really paid off for Detroit here into mid-June. Glavine trying to keep this inning scoreless. Waved at and missed for strike 1.
White up there looking for fastball first pitch. Not very often you see changeup on the very first pitch. Glavine a beauty down and away, and White way out in front.
Well, you've seen Glavine a lot. 48 times, and Glavine has won most of them, holding him to 208. And it's down low. Tim McClellan is the home plate umpire, the veteran there.
Game time temperature was 82 degrees. Also on the scorecard handed out, there's a correction. The first base umpire is Tony Randazzo. The third base umpire is Jim Wolf.
All right, so now you're up to date. 82 degrees when we started. There's a line shot. Spencer on the move, diving, can't get it. It squibs behind him, inches in. Dmitri Young rounding third. He's headed for home. The throw to the plate, waiting. He is out at home. 1 run scores on the play as the Mets execute the relay very well and cut down the second run at the dish, but the first run in as Piazza makes the play at home on the tag. 1-0 Detroit after a half inning. Tigers grabbing a 1-0 lead over the Mets here after a half inning play. The starting lineup brought to you by your Tri-State Quality Ford store. Kaz Matsui, Todd Zeal, Mike Piazza make up 1, 2, 3. Then it's Spencer, Richard Hidalgo. His first appearance in a Met uniform. He's in right and batting 5th. Wigginton, Cameron, Phillips, and Glavine. The rest of the 9 against the left-hander Nate Robertson, who is 5-3. They've been very pleased with him. An ERA of 3.91. He's a hard-throwing left-hander, and he has been one of the American League's best strikeout artists so far this season, Ralph.
Yeah, he's averaged 8.4 strikeouts per 9 innings. That's tied for the fourth place in the American League.
Outside on Matsui. Kaz has hit in 6 in a row. And over that span, he's gone 10 for 21. That's a .476 average. And he has not been striking out either. Pops this one up into right. Monroe coming in a few strides and there to make the catch over to his right for out number 1.
Let's take a look at our Lincoln Mercury defense here for the Detroit Tigers. White, Sanchez, and Monroe in the outfield left to right. Red and Inge at third. Smith and Infante at second, at short and second. Dmitri Young, the start at first base. And Pudge Rodriguez behind home plate. Another great catcher in attendance here tonight, Pudge Rodriguez. Another catcher's night here at Shea, isn't it? There's some of them right there. Gary Carter and Pudge.
And Jeff Wilpon, who is the executive of this ball club. Pretty good company.
Pudge is going to be making his way over to join us here in the booth in the second inning.
We got a couple of Pudge catchers, don't we?
Yes, we do. Two pretty
Pudge Rodriguez and Pudge Fisk.
Now, neither one of those guys strike me as fellas who were chunky or chubby or fat when they were kids.
You don't think so?
No. Especially Pudge Rodriguez.
How would you like to be called Bubbles? Bubbles Hargrave. That was a catcher that played in the old-time days.
Where did he come up with Bubbles, or who came up?
If I was a Fantan dancer, that'd be all right, wouldn't it?
Could be, yeah.
Oh, what kind of dancer?
Excuse me.
The 1-1 is in there for strike. On deck, Mike Piazza, who has a choice of vehicles to drive home tonight after being presented with a hot rod car. What do they say, 300 horsepower?
300 horsepower.
You're going to hear it before you see it. It's outside, and the count on Zeal, 2 balls, 2 strikes. And man, it is yellow. The car they gave Mike, it's a yellow car. Has his number on it.
That is canary yellow. Isn't
Canary
it?
yellow.
All the way.
That's it. Zeal with a swing and a miss. He strikes out, 2 gone. So Piazza will hit with the bases empty here. Mike with 355 home runs as a catcher. Carlton Fisk here, Yogi Berra, Johnny Bench, Gary Carter honoring Mike tonight, along with 2 more Hall of Famers, my partners Kiner and Seaver. That's an entire wing of Cooperstown we've got here tonight. Some amazing baseball history has gathered at Shea Stadium on June 18, 2004.
Well, there's certainly more Hall of Fame players, catchers, in the ballpark than ever anywhere else.
Maybe true. Swing and a foul tip into the mid for strike, and a count 1-1 on Piazza. Mike at 302, 14 homers, 33 runs batted in. Spencer hitting out of the 4 slot tonight. He's in left field. Line shot and a base hit. Mike sends that one into center field for a single. So he is 1 for 1, and Spencer will swing, and if he can reach, we'll get a look at Hidalgo right away in the first inning. He has come to the on-deck area. Spencer had some interesting comments in the morning paper following the trade that brought Hidalgo from the Houston Astros. He admitted point blank that he was disappointed. He knows his playing time, a lot of it is going to disappear. But Art Howe got him right back into the lineup tonight. And that's the main reason, because the Mets now have a set outfield at last.
And he made a statement, said, I don't want to go anyplace else. There's not a player that has ever put on a uniform and played this game that says, well, thank God I don't have to play as much. I mean, guys want to play. You don't want guys to say, oh, thank God I don't have to be in the starting lineup.
What was that one ball player that said, bench me or trade me? Sounds like he didn't want to play.
The 1-0 pitch. He waves right through it.
What's one of the great lines of all time was Templeton was an infielder for the St. Louis Cardinals. He made the All-Star team as a backup player. He made the statement up, I ain't starting. He's talking about the All-Star game. I ain't departing.
Here's the 1-1 to Spencer. That is off the outside corner. Wasn't it Templeton who was traded to San Diego for Ozzie Smith?
Mm-hmm.
So after a while, in fact, he did depart.
He departed, all right.
And that resulted in great things for the St. Louis Cardinals and Ozzie Smith. A little bit low for a ball. Now 3-1.
One thing that Templeton did was he had a chance to have 100 hits right-handed and 100 hits left-handed. And to get the 100 hits right-handed, he batted right-handed against right-hand pitching. Was a switch hitter, obviously, and made the mark. They got there.
Fly lofted on the right field line. Monroe with a lengthy run, but he'll make the catch in fair territory. Side retired. Piazza with a base hit, but he is stranded. And after one inning here at Shea Stadium on Mike Piazza Night, the Tigers lead it 1-0. On to the second inning here at Shea, where the Tigers lead it 1-0, and your local Jeep dealers bring our Spanish viewers the chance to enjoy tonight's telecast in Espanol with Billy and Juan. Tom Seaver, Ralph Kiner, Dave O'Brien, and delighted to have, this makes a three-man Hall of Fame booth here. Carlton Fisk
with us. That's right. The only one it isn't is you, kid.
Well, I'm working on it.
I know, and you're doing a good job.
Got a long way to go, But great to have you here, and I know that Mike Piazza was very, very touched to have you here tonight, along with the other Hall of Famers. That's some serious catching talent on the field tonight.
That is exactly right, and we all appreciate the job that Mike has done and the approach that he's taken. We all know how difficult it is to be back there, squatting all these years and then putting up some of the offensive numbers that he has. It's an admiration that we do honor him here tonight.
It was a wonderful ceremony as that one is ripped by Monroe into left field for a base hit. And Tommy Glavine is not fooling anybody in the early going. And Carlton, when you think about all the stuff Mike got there, I mean, you got the watch, you got a great bottle of wine, you got a pretty nifty car there. When you broke the record, did they roll out all that for you?
I broke Johnny Bench's record, and the thing that I got was a phone call from John. So that's what I got. And John and I were talking about, when I broke Yogi's record, what did we get? I said, well, look at that Chevrolet guy's wearing a shirt that says Chevrolet on it. Maybe we could get a shirt out of this, a golf shirt. Well, we haven't got anything yet, but other than watching Piazza's ceremony, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Look at Carlton Fisk's last home run as a big league catcher, and that's got to be in Minnesota. Down the line and gone.
I was an old guy then. I had a hard time playing.
You walked in the home plate. You couldn't make it around running.
Well, that's it. You know, when you can touch all the bases at your own leisure, you don't have to run fast.
You got that right. Yeah. You said in talking about your home runs that you've never really tried to hit home runs.
Consciously, I never went to the plate trying to hit a home run. Unlike you perfected the approach to the home run pitch. You used to work on it in spring, not in spring training, but used to work on it in batting practice every day. I worked on trying to hit the ball through the middle and making a good move and trying to get good rhythm or timing and a good stroke on the ball. I never once went to the plate in all my career thinking hitting a home run. I thought about hitting the ball, left center field or up the middle or try to stay on the ball as long as I could or, different thoughts like that. But I never once went to the plate thinking I should hit a home run. Maybe I should have done that.
Obvious question.
You never know.
Obvious question leads, Pudge, is what about the one in the World Series? Were you thinking home run there?
Actually, I was not. Fred Lynn and I were on the on-deck circle early in the morning after rain delays and extra innings. And being a catcher, I was just gassed. Fred and I were on the on-deck circle, and I said, I had a feeling going on. I said, Freddie, I'm going to hit one off the wall, drive me in. And never once said, Freddie, this game's over, where I'm going to hit a home run. No, I never did. So maybe by not thinking I was going to hit a home run, oh, there it is. That ball's fair, too.
Yeah, you willed it fair.
So at the time.
I always wondered if that ball had gone foul, Tom, I'd have been back plowing corn in New Hampshire, you know.
It's a game of inches right there. I'll tell you
that's
that.
it.
Isn't it fascinating? You don't talk about yourself as a home run hitter, yet the undying image of you is going to be hitting a home run.
That's exactly right. I always thought that my ultimate value on the field was behind the plate. I know when I caught Tom, there's not much I really needed to do because Tom was so great. Tom had an idea. He had an idea what he wanted to do, and Tom was so aware.
And you knew
of
I
his
wasn't going to hurt your hand either. Too.
And
That's the other.
one time I'm throwing the ball back to him. He waves me out. He says, "Hey, Bud, come out here." He goes out and he goes, "You know, if you ever throw the ball harder back to me than I'm throwing it to you again," he says,
I'll hire somebody.
I'm going to hire somebody else out." But it was funny.
Jason Smith in the box here with one down and a runner at first base. Delighted to have Carlton Fisk with us.
They talked to Pudge today. They said, Pudge, any memorable home runs you had? And I'll tell you, my memorable home run that Pudge hit, I was making the track toward 300, and I was pitching win number 298 in Chicago. And the second inning, he hits one over the roof in left field.
Bounding ball in on it. Wigginton and out at first as the runner moves up.
Off of Bert Blyleven. Right?
Fastball.
1-0. He'll tell you in a minute. 1-0. We end up winning the game. 1-0.
But see, I felt as though that my value in that game wasn't the home run. It was the fact that I could help Tom shut the other team out.
That's because
I
you came
used to come in
out
after.
wouldn't let Tony take me out of the game.
The Rooster came out to try to take him out of the game. I said, no way. This guy's staying in there.
No.
And after the game, he's in there interviewing with everybody on the media. And I said, what's the big deal? Anybody can win when the other team doesn't score.
That's right.
Lovely. So he hasn't changed a bit.
No, he hasn't. Ask him how he drives his tractor, though, when he goes to get the mail.
No, don't bring this up to O'Brien. It's killing him.
And perpetual 9-year-old over here with his tractors. He freezes like he's looking at the Mona Lisa whenever he sees one of those things.
James Rodney Richard fastball. He just froze up.
Glavine's 0-1 pitch, and it's just outside on the pitcher.
It was great to look down there and see the four of you, and then seeing two others right behind you.
Oh, those guys could
two
play
other
too.
Outstanding catchers right behind you, and then Piazza comes in. I mean, that's a terrific collection from a historical standpoint of what baseball is about for that number 2 position. You know, that catching position, because it is not easy.
Not only is it, I mean, era-wise, but generationally too. That you look at what happened before, what happened along the way in my era, and then you look at what's going to happen. You look at Ivan Rodriguez. That guy's got the whole package. I mean, he can really play. Lance Parrish could play it. You know, even in the 70s, it was Thurman Munson and myself. And then in the 80s, it was Lance Parrish and myself. And now it's, I don't know if there is anybody that in the American League that can say, well, I'm competing with Ivan Rodriguez.
One of the great things happened today is you did it, and Johnny did it, was tip your hat to Yogi, because he was the one that really started to make that position and romanticize it. He really did a good job of telling people what catching was all about.
That's exactly right.
Our thanks to the Hall of Famer Carlton Fisk. Great pleasure having you with us, Carlton.
Thanks for having me.
Pudge with us in the booth. It is 1-0. Richard Hidalgo has just been announced to the fans here at Shea Stadium, putting on the Met uniform for the first time here tonight after the trade from the Astros. A look at his numbers with Houston: 256, 4 homers, 10 driven in. He'll be 29 in 10 days out of Caracas, Venezuela. Checks on the first one to tie for ball 1. Ralph, what do you think of the trade?
Well, it certainly can't hurt the Mets at all. I mean, it's a trade that's really has a lot of plus signs on it. If he can get back to the style he had at one time, that's a foul ball right there. When he hit 44 home runs, batted over 300, you got yourself a sensational ball player.
Yeah, that was the 2000 season. He hit 314, 44 big flies, 122 RBIs. The question is, can they straighten him out after last year. He had a terrific year, really. Hit 28 homers, batted over 300. He was the MVP for the Houston Ball Club. But, Tom, he has not hit a home run since April 14th. He started out real hot, had an excellent first month. It's been downhill since.
Well, I think, you know, one of the things he's got coming over here, and a change of scenery always is something of a, well, a breath of fresh air for any player when he goes to a new ball club. He gets Don Baylor as his hitting coach.
And that isn't bad. He's a real good coach.
Yeah, it's a fine coach, and that's not going to hurt at all. He comes to a ballpark where you don't really get to be an advantage, as we were talking about before. If you try to pull the ball all the time, here you're dead. So if he is going to be an all-fields hitter and has power to all fields, then if you can convince him that that's the way to hit in this ballpark, then it might be a terrific trade. On the other side of the coin, why would if the Houston Astros decided he would get back to 44 home runs or 40 home runs or 30 home runs or 35, would they have traded him? You know, I think they're saying, well, under conditions they don't believe it was going to happen, and that breath of fresh air is where he needs to go. Off-speed pitch right there.
He strikes out in his first at bat tonight, so one man gone in the second. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by your Honda dealers. Discover the great value
that you have to look at is the fact that he was shot in a carjacking thing in his hometown country in Venezuela, and it bothered him a lot. You wonder if that is a factor in the equation that you look at when you look at that town.
Now, that was an attempted carjacking in Venezuela. Shot in his left forearm, a 9mm bullet in November of 2001. The following season, in the 2002 season, he only hit .235 with 15 homers, but he did bounce back pretty strong last year, slumping again this year. So he has that history. When he's not going good, whatever the reason, be it an injury, in that case a horrible thing, a gunshot wound, he stays in that slump for a while. But when he's going good, he can carry a ball club. At least he's done it on several occasions with Houston. So we'll see what the Mets get from Richard Hidalgo. I'll tell you one thing they get is a very underrated throwing arm.
Well, he has made so many outfield assists. I mean, he's unreal in that department.
3-1 on Wigginton. Tops that one toward third. It'll bounce foul.
You know, one thing to look at with Don Baylor, the new batting coach of the Mets, Baylor took a fellow named Galarraga, who had 4 or 5 really disastrous years. And when he came to the St. Louis Cardinals, he turned Galarraga back into one of the great hitters of that time that Galarraga played. So you got a pretty good coach going for you.
Remember, he opened up his batting stance, so he looked right at the pitcher. That one in there for strike 3, and Wigginton is caught. So that's the third strikeout for Nate Robertson. Now let's go downstairs to Kip. He has another Hall of Famer on a Hall of Fame night here at Shea.
I am with another Hall of Famer. Gary Carter joins me. Gary, you saw a young Mike Piazza when he came into the Dodgers organization. What were your first impressions of Mike when you saw him?
Well, I thought he was an enthusiastic kid because I was there in the '91 spring training with the Dodgers, and he got a few pinch hit appearances and all, and I just liked his mannerisms and the way he was going about his business. He got a few pinch hits, and, you know, I said, maybe this kid might be something special. And sure enough, he goes on to Bakersfield, and he came up a little bit during the season when I was there at Chavez Ravine. And you know what? He was very appreciative. And we got a long fly here, and hopefully it would go out, but to the warning track. But anyway, Mike has hit a lot more out, and that's the reason why he was honored tonight.
All right, Gary, appreciate your time. We're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this.
Take a moment to remind you that the 2004 season marks the 7th year of the J.P. Morgan Chase Baseball is for Kids program, and over 800,000 youngsters have experienced Met baseball thanks to J.P. Morgan Chase's belief in giving back to the community. No dream is too big if you have the right relationship.
Getting the third inning underway, top of the order, Alex Sanchez. He is 0 for 1. He is grounded out to third. Tom Seaver, Ralph Kiner, Dave O'Brien with you. We were delighted to be joined by Carlton Fisk earlier, Gary Carter as well. Gary continues to get huge ovations here at Shea Stadium. Nice bunt drop down, but it rolls foul, trickling over the line by Sanchez.
Sanchez leads the major leagues in bunt base hits. He's had 57, and of course the Mets know that, and they're right on top of him. Third baseman, first baseman playing right on top of him. to take that run away.
It may not be as exciting for the fans of Detroit as their NBA champion Pistons, but this team is playing pretty well right now. They won 6 out of 8 games. They are not the also-rans of last year. Certainly a huge leap forward from 2003.
Well, you were in Florida when Dave Dombrowski was there, right?
Yes.
Who has gone on as the general manager of this Detroit Tiger ball club. And you would expect that things would go in the right direction.
Oh, I think he's one of the best general managers in the game. Nice play by Wigginton on a hop. He was in several strides, playing medium depth, then he plucked it off.
That's 2 of those that Sanchez has hit, and they both were really hit hard. Another fly got a hard smash from one hopper. Zeal turned in one against him at third base. Wow, he made contact, and he's 0 for 2. That's the start of a bad night.
So that'll bring up Brandon Inge. A good night going so far with a single, and he has scored the only run. That was in the first inning. He lays off the pitch by Glavine outside. Tommy Glavine over his last 5 starts has posted an ERA of 1.40. It really has been masterful. The Mets as a staff, the #1 ERA in baseball at 3.60.
One of the phenomenal things about Tommy Glavine, he really struggled last year, 4.5 earned run average, and there you see the National League leaders. How do you get a 2-point earned run average in 10 of his 14 starts this year? 10 of 14, he's given up 2 earned runs or less.
And that's really amazing in this day of runs scored. I mean, 5 runs a game is not unheard of.
The 2-1 pitch, tried the inside corner and missed it. So it's 3-1.
You don't see him scuffle very long, but he has been behind hitters. This is not the Tommy Glavine that we've seen the last couple of starts. But you know, sometimes it makes all it takes is one pitch to get you back on track. There, they went after ball 4 there.
Back at third, Zeal tough play off balance. The stretch got him. Phillips stretching hard. Zeal with a wonderful play behind the bag. 2 down.
Well, he certainly did go after ball 4. The ball was almost on the ground, and a great throw from a very tough position. He couldn't get his body behind that ball. Lobs it over the first. Good stretch at first base by Jason Phillips, and a good out.
Phillips just about stretching right into the runner, Inge. So well played on the corners, and here's Ivan Rodriguez. Pudge with a single in the first inning. And don't you sense, listening to Gary Carter and listening to Carlton Fisk, there's a real kinship among catchers, especially guys who've had the success these guys have had, guys like Pudge had.
I think it's probably as strong as any position on the field. I think that bond that catchers have, because it is such a physically such a difficult position to play, that bond is as strong as any position of any player on the field.
And so he fires on, and it's a good inning for Glavine. He gets them 1-2-3 for the first time tonight. Through 2.5 at Shea. Still the Tigers on top of the Mets, 1-0. It's a muggy Friday night here at Shea Stadium. The Tigers, in for this 3-game Interleague series, have a 1-0 lead over Jason Phillips and the Mets. Mets playing some sharp defense early. Phillips helping out with his nice stretch over at the bag at first base. Glavine will follow, and then Kaz Matsui. We did have a rain shower before the game, but the ball game began when it was supposed to start, right after the Mike Piazza ceremonies, and no interference from the weather. The Mets surviving a 2-hour rain delay, and the Indians to beat Cleveland 6-2 last night. And Ralph, you all got wet here at the ballpark as it came down pretty hard.
It was not a pleasant evening. The Mets won the ball game 6-2, and that was the start of a good night.
Improving to 31 and 34 overall. As Phillips flies that one down the line, that might be trouble. Monroe on the run. He's going to get there. He covered a lot of ground. He has a quick first step and made the right break on it for out number 1. Well, this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Sterling Mets and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Sterling Mets. Glavine in a non-bunting situation, nobody on for him, so he'll be swinging away at 2:08, and he takes a strike. Mike Piazza's number on the bases tonight in salute to his home run accomplishments.
One of the classic things that he received was home plate the one he stepped on when he set the record for most home runs hit by a catcher. So he has that home plate.
Sitting next to new dad Eric Valent, trickled into no man's land. Robertson, nice play, tags out Glavine right in front of the bag. Robertson showing some athletic talent. He's 6'2", 215 pounds.
It's a fine play by the pitcher, and you're exactly right, David. And there was a bit of confusion between the pitcher Robertson and Dmitri Young. And Robertson just made an absolute decision, went for the ball, and said, I can beat Glavine at first base, and made an easy tag. That was a good piece of baseball right there.
So 2 down, bases clean. Kaz Matsui to dig in. Kaz 0 for 1 tonight. He's fly to right. He was 2 for 4 last night in the rain-soaked victory over the Indians. Mets coming in 4th place in the division. 5.5 behind the Marlins in the National League East. Detroit is 6 behind Minnesota in the AL Central. These teams with identical records. The 0-1 pitch to the leadoff man, hit toward the middle. Infante with the stop, sidearms it over in time. 1-2-3 go the Mets. So very little offense, just 1 hit so far. On Mike Piazza night at the ballpark, all sorts of goodies available here at Shea Stadium. Glavine back to work. He is down 1-0, and he'll take on 4, 5, and 6. That's Dmitri Young, Rondell White, and Craig Monroe here. So far, Glavine has been in and out with his command. He has allowed 4 hits and a number of shots that his teammates have hauled in behind him. So there have been some rockets that probably would have fallen in had not Zeal and Wigginton and Matsui been right on their A game. Here comes the 1-0 pitch. High fly ball left field. Will anyone catch this one? Spencer back to the track, to the wall, leaps, and that one is over the fence. A home run for Dmitri Young, his 2nd of the year. That makes it 2-0. So Tommy Glavine is not mystifying the Tigers on this night, at least not yet.
Oh, Young getting his 2nd home run of the year, and as we've noted, Glavine has been hit hard, but he's still in the ball game. There's only down by 2. He has given up a total of 5 hits, and he's had about 3 or 4 great plays behind him.
Well, this is a pretty good hitting team, unlike last year's Tiger unit. Another look.
Low fastball and 2nd out of the ballpark. And Dmitri Young with his 2nd home run of the year.
Rondell White with an RBI double in the 1st inning on a ball that Spencer tried to catch in a dive, went sprawling and missed it. That chased in Inge. So he has an RBI this evening. 2 runs on 5 hits for the Tigers. No runs on 1 hit so far for the Mets. And that 1 hit belongs to Mike Piazza. Hit sharply, but that one's foul. Rondell White, Cliff Floyd's best friend in the whole wide world. They were teammates together in Montreal. And that's where Rondell introduced Cliff Floyd to the woman that Cliff would eventually propose to. Nobody out and a run in, and Glavine back at it. The 6-foot lefty with a 2-1 pitch. Tried to sneak the fastball over the inside corner and missed it. Dmitri Young with a solo shot to left. So that has doubled the Tigers' advantage here in the 4th inning. White going after it on 3-1. Nice stop by Matsui on the charge, and he throws him out. 1 away in the 4th inning as we check out the Toyota out-of-town scoreboard. Texas playing the Marlins in interleague play. The Marlins getting bad news yesterday. Josh Beckett is injured again as he pulls a muscle in his side. Atlanta with the early lead against the Indians. Later on, it'll be the Yankees at Los Angeles at 10:10. Boston and San Francisco. And Cincinnati, St. Louis getting started in the 1st inning. Ken Griffey Jr. sitting on 500 career home runs. Wigginton from the outfield throws and got him. That sets down Monroe, so he continues to play a really good second base. Ty Wigginton with a fine stab.
He was originally a second baseman when he came up to the Mets last year. They put him at third base, did a good job over there, and now back at second. And shows how he can play second base.
Glavine has picked up the Mets time and time again this season, but they're picking him up tonight.
Yeah, that ball was well hit too.
So here's Omar Infante, the second baseman. He struck out in the second inning. He checks, and the first pitch is across the outside corner for strike one. I mentioned the Tigers getting off to the terrible start last year, losing their first 9 games of the year. They had 6 different losing streaks of at least 8 games, most of them longer than 8 games. Well, this season through mid-June, they have not had a losing streak longer than 4 in a row. And that's why they are a credible ball club and could be in the hunt in this division in the American League Central, which is not a terribly strong division.
Well, the Tigers back in the 30s had some great baseball players. Notably players like Hank Greenberg, Charlie Garinger, Schoolboy Roll, Tommy Bridges. All kinds of talent on that ball club, and their playing manager was a catcher, Mickey Cochran. Great catcher. He got beamed. I believe the pitcher was Bump Hadley. And it was never the same hitter after that. But he was a fiery manager and led the Tigers to some great victories.
I believe he homered in his last at bat, did he not?
He might have. I don't remember that.
The 2-2 outside, a full count on Infante.
Tommy Glavine not happy one bit.
No.
He's faced what, let's say 15 hitters now, whatever it is, and 10 of them hit the ball hard, and his command is not good at all. And all you have to do is read his body language. He doesn't like it.
Made a good pitch right there in the 3-2. I should mention one more player on that Tiger team back in the 1934 era. Eldon Knocker. He was a submarine pitcher, and he's still alive. I believe he's 93 years old. Still plays golf. He shoots his age easily. Guess anybody could when you're 93.
Well, not anybody. But what was that name again?
Eldon Knocker.
Eldon Knocker.
And he lives down in Florida, and he was a great athlete. In fact, Hank Greenberg said that Eldon Knocker was the best football player he ever saw in the major leagues. He saw him play football, of course, in college.
I'm not sure that's a compliment, but maybe it is. The 3-2 is outside for ball 4. First man walked in this contest by Tom Glavine, and that comes with 2 down. There's some great names that you can rattle off from the 30s and the 40s and the 1950s. One of my favorite umpires' names. The guy is working this game tonight. He's out at second base. Fielden Culbreth. It's right out of a Dickens novel. Fielden Culbreth.
I like some of the names of the ball players of the old days. Jake Stryker, pitcher.
Oh, yeah.
Herb Score, another pitcher. No one scored much off him.
A tragic story.
I thought you didn't like pitchers.
I just said I like their names. I like them.
Jake Stryker, that sounds like an action hero.
How about Early Wynn?
Early Wynn's a great one, sure. I mean, baseball names have a lyrical quality, don't they? I mean, just the name Willie Mays sounds like an outfielder who can catch anything. Mickey Mantle, the double M. It sounds like a guy who can hit it 600 feet.
How about Heine Munoz?
Well, I wasn't going to go there, Ralph. I got nothing on Heine.
We used to say when you rode the trains in the old days, the clickety-clack of the train wheels going over the railroad tracks was like Heine Munoz, Heine Munoz, Heine Munoz. That was
boy, those were long rides on those trains, baby.
Didn't have Nintendo back then. Not much to do on those long train rides. The runner goes outside. The throw by Piazza, not in time. And Infante has it stolen. With 2 out, he's in scoring position.
Right here, Piazza with a perfect throw, but just a little bit late. Both Puds Rodriguez and Mike Piazza have about identical records for throwing out base runners.
If Matsui had taken that ball on the short hop, might have gotten an out, let the ball come to him. And he took the glove up in front of the bag and caught it in the air and then tried to bring the glove back.
Does it seem to you that Met middle infielders have a tendency to do that a lot? Yeah. Is that because it's being underthrown frequently and they have to set up that way?
It doesn't make any difference because if you have confidence in your center fielder to back up the play, and you know Cameron's going to be there, get the glove back by, the bag. Let the ball come to the glove. You may have to come up and get it and come back down. But it's that split second, and it's very easy for the umpire to see that play as well.
I realize you have to leave the bag if it's underthrown or if it's overthrown or left or right of the base.
Or if you know the runner's got the ball base stolen.
Right.
Fine.
But if it's an accurate throw, aren't you compelled to be on the bag?
I think you got to stay. See where the glove is off the bag. I think the glove's got to be back by the bag. And you've got to take it on the short hop. See how far back Matsui has to go with the ball? You want him to catch it there. Well, short hop it and then take it back.
Waved at and missed by Smith. It's a strikeout for Tom Glavine. He gives up a home run in the inning to Dmitri Young.
Will anyone catch this one
to the wall to make it 2-0 Detroit? Not yet. A look at the Toyota line scores so far. That young man, the left-hander Nate Robertson, has been very tough to hit. He has allowed only one single to Mike Piazza. And Met fans, next Friday, June 25th, the Mets are heading for a crosstown showdown with the Yankees. Catch every memorable minute here on the WB11. A-Rod, Jeter, Mike, Cliff, and a battle on the Matsuis. Mets-Yankees next Friday, June 25 at 7 on the WB11. Bottom half of inning 4, here's Todd Zeile, who's hit a bit of a slump as of late. He's just 1 for 13 on the homestand. So the average has trickled down to 246. Piazza next, and then Shane Spencer. If anybody reaches, Richard Hidalgo making his Met debut tonight out of the 5 slot. And in right field, he's 0 for 1 with a strikeout. Mets getting their first look at Robertson, 6'2" product of Wichita, Kansas.
Well, he's got a terrific pitch-strike ratio here. I mean, coming into this inning, he 38 pitches, 23 strikes. And 1-2 on Zeile here. It works quickly.
He's not a soft tossing left-hander. He throws,
but he's not overpowered. He's not Sandy Koufax either. But it's been looking at the scoreboard, and we've seen some 92s or whatever.
Good changeup. That one too high with a fastball.
I think that looks like the strength that he's got is a real good changeup. And he is real good on the outside corner against the right-hand hitters.
3-2. He hasn't walked anybody yet. Fought off by Zeile.
Well, the only hit they have off of him is by Piazza, and that was sort of a handle hit, little liner, soft liner to center field. He actually jammed Mike with that pitch, but it was a base hit.
Robertson agrees with Pudge Rodriguez, and the 3-2 is chopped to short. Smith up and over for the out. So one man gone, and that'll bring up Piazza with the lone hit so far for New York, a first inning single. Hope you're with us during the pregame show today. A terrific ceremony, I thought. Very nicely done, as Mike was showered with gifts. Very expensive bottle of wine. He's turning into something of a connoisseur there. An expensive automobile, an expensive watch. There's nothing cheap about it. That's what he's going to be driving out of here later, or somebody is.
He might be flying out with that thing.
I don't think he'll be driving it out of here. He's got his name on the back of it. I don't think he'll be at the driver's wheel.
Tap to Smith, in on it. 2 down. A couple of 6-3s here in the 4th inning, and easy outs here. The Mets are not testing Nate Robertson, at least not yet.
You know, the other thing I thought about when doing the pregame work, we see Shane Spencer coming to the plate, but you would expect the team managed by Alan Trammell to be right at the top of the league in defense, and in fact, that's just the opposite. These two ball clubs are at the bottom of their respective leagues in defense. The Tigers have made 59 errors on the season, and the Mets have made 58. But certainly something that makes you think Trammell, with as good a defensive player as that he was, and a stickler for the fundamentals of the game, they have not been good defensively.
It's a question of personnel. They were bad last year. They were horrible picking up the ball last year. That has not improved very much. The reason they're better, their pitching's been better, and their offense has been markedly better.
One thing about pitching, they can certainly help your defense, because the ball doesn't hit as hard when pitchers are good. When they're bad, the ball is hitting like rockets.
And when you pitch quickly, too, Ralph. We've talked to so many times, tempo is so important. All of a sudden, if you take so much time in between pitches, you get players that are looking around in the stands, get back on their heels and not sharp. And both pitchers tonight here, both these left-handers, excellent pace on the mound.
Spencer swings and misses for strike 3. Had a Maddox game the other night. The Chicago Cubs have made one error all season behind Maddox. It proves that point. A pitcher-pitcher matchup here. Nate Robertson, who struck out in the second inning, but has held the Mets to just one hit so far, and has the Tigers in front 2-0. He'll lead things off. Then it's Sanchez and Inge against Glavine. Now, some players enjoy interleague play a lot. Some don't, but one of the true benefits of interleague play is for guys like the Tigers left-hander Mike Maroth. That one right back to the hill, and Glavine gets Robertson here for out number 1. Mets baseball is being brought to you tonight by Nissan and your Nissan dealers. By Verizon. Make progress every day. And one man out. Here's Sanchez. He's gone 0 for 2, but robbed twice. A ground ball to third that was snatched by Zeal. He threw him out. Then a ground ball up the middle. Wigginton made a fine play on that and threw him out. They're really in on the corners to guard against the bunt. He drops it down. Piazza has to spin and fire. A dive, and he got him. Sanchez is out. I mean, guarding against the bunt, I don't know if you can drop it down any better or make a better play than this.
Well, don't try this at home, though. Diving into first base is one of the most dangerous things you can do. A good play by Piazza. Quickly to the ball and firing down to first base.
Well, Sanchez can really run, and you're exactly right, Ralph. That is, boy, if you have a franchise, you just absolutely outlaw that, because you could be out for months or ruin a career. You dislocate one of those fingers,
be all over.
That's a phenomenon that has crept into baseball, and nobody's trying to rid it. Unbelievable.
You know, the thing that's amazing about that, no one's proved that you get to first base faster by diving into the bag. I mean, you don't see any sprinters diving across the finish line. They go in straight up.
The 1-0 to Inge. He's gone 1 for 2 with a single, and he's grounded out to third. The Tigers in front 2-0. A couple of lefties battling it out here tonight. And Robertson has been a lot sharper than Tom Glavine. Fly to right field, well struck. Hidalgo back though for the catch, and it's a 1-2-3 inning this time for Glavine. Only 6 pitches needed in that inning. 2-0 Detroit. Back at Shea Stadium, and fans, you could be a Mets VIP at Shea. Just visit a Stop and Shop supermarket near you. Purchase any 5 products from Pepsi, Gold's, Entenmann's, Thomas, Arnold, and Stroman with your Stop and Shop card. You'll automatically be entered to win the Mets VIP at Shea sweepstakes. Ralph Connor, Tom Seaver, Dave O'Brien with you. Good to have you along on a Friday night. Midway through, though, the Tigers have a 2-0 lead. And Pudge Rodriguez, who had made the previous out, that one ripped by Hidalgo right into the glove, and he had a pretty good swing. Unlike his first at bat when he struck out Ralph, he tags this one.
This ball is hit hard, but in and out and back in the glove. And that swing right there. See, one thing about that swing is he drops his hands just a little bit. When you go down and have a hitch in your swing, you want to make sure you get the hands back up to where they were.
Wigginton swinging at the first pitch, pops it up center field. Sanchez with a late start, and that's going to drop in there for a base hit. Ty Wigginton on at first with a single. It found a home out there in the outfield between Smith, Sanchez, and Rondell White.
Well, he gets jammed on this pitch. Looked like, on the end of the bat. And into no man's land. Center fielder Sanchez coming in. And the second baseman going out with a shortstop and right in that Bermuda Triangle in center field. So the second hit of the evening for the Mets.
So here's Mike Cameron, a home run last night. He's 0 for 1 this evening with a fly to right field. Just the second hit for New York, and we'll see if they can do something with it. One down. And that one flicked foul by Cameron. Nate Robertson coming off a very strong effort against the Florida Marlins in his last start. He went 8 innings. He allowed just 4 hits, had good control, walked just 2, beat the Marlins 6-2. So trying to build off of that. Win tonight, and he's 6-3. They've been real happy with his progress this year. Bunted at. It's going to stay fair, and everyone's going to be safe. A base hit from Mike Cameron.
Well, the one thing they should have done here is just let the ball roll. He had no way in the world to pull the runner out. And it might have maybe gone foul. Why pick it up?
That ball was spinning over there. That's cats that play where the catcher has to take charge. That ball was rotating toward the line. The catcher's got to go down there and shoot that third baseman back to third to protect the runner coming from first. You're never going to get Cameron. I mean, it's just speed is just too great. Really the Mets' first chance to do something offensively here.
And New York trying to build on a pop-up to center that dropped in, and now a bunt that maybe was about to roll foul. Glavine up after Jason Phillips, who takes it up high for ball 1.
First time the Mets have had a runner in scoring position in this ball game. Runners now at first and second, 1 man out. And Jason had a good year last year with the Mets, really struggling this year.
Trickled slowly, Inge in, has time. He throws out Phillips. The other 2 move up. Wigginton into third and Cameron into second. So it's not like the Mets are crushing Nate Robertson in this inning, but they have 2 men in scoring position now.
And Glavine considered to be a pretty good hitter coming up. He had plenty of time to make that play, knowing that Phillips is not a fast runner. Glavine overall in his career has driven in quite a few runs. He has driven in 75 runs in his major league career.
I'm trying to make it 77. Chopped over third, base hit. Wigginton in. Cameron rounds third. The throw will not get him. And the Mets have just tied up the ball game. Tommy Glavine on a chopper over Inge's head. A 2-2 game here in the 5th inning. So you were talking about Glavine RBIs. Give him 77.
He beat it right down to the ground in front of home plate and over the head of the third baseman. Good piece of hitting. Glavine is an excellent athlete. Good fielder. He's used as a pinch hitter the other night. And Cameron scores easily the second run. Glavine, who helps himself with his glove and feeling his position, now helping the team offensively and helping himself certainly to get this game tied up again.
A bloop, a bunt, and a bouncer over third, and it's tied.
And the Tigers have hit the ball hard off of Glavine about 2/3 of the time tonight.
Yeah. It's a funny game.
It is a funny game, is it not?
Kaz Matsui 0 for 2. He's flying to right, grounded to second. 2-2 in the 5th. That one brushes him back right up around the belt.
This is something I don't understand about when you get Glavine at first base, and he's not going to steal. The pitching coach for the Tigers, Bob Tuck's going to come out and talk to his young pitcher to get him back on track here. Just settle back down. This is a settle back down meeting. Don't lose your cool in this situation. You give up a couple runs, fine. Get your team off the field. But when Mike Piazza was on first base, and I go back, and you've got one of the best throwing arms in all of baseball behind home plate. And Piazza does not run well. Glavine is not going to be a stolen base candidate. And if they do try to steal with him with Pudge behind the plate, you're doing the Tigers a favor. And still, Dmitri Young, both times he was holding on Piazza before, and now he's holding on the pitcher at first base.
That would be the bench coach will be taking care of that. They have a signal for that from the bench to the first baseman. The first baseman can put on the play, and that's crossing your arms. Your forearms are crossed, and it says, I'm playing off the bag when you make that sign.
The 2-1 way high, missed badly on Matsui there. Kaz trying to run his hitting streak to 7 in a row.
Kaz in a good hitting position right now, 3-1. He's going to get a fastball here. He's hit 5 home runs. They've all been leadoff home runs in the ball game.
3-1 pitch. He was late on that, fouling it off to the right.
One of the advantages of being a non-home run hitter is that 3-1, and the pitcher having a tough time, he's going to get a lot of fastballs on that count. A good home run hitter will never get a fastball on that count unless it's set up by a curveball.
Glavine taking off, and it's fouled away in on the thumbs of Matsui with 2 down. They were not holding him there on a 3-2 pitch. Saw a shot of Kirk Gibson, who is the bench coach of Alan Trammell, down in his dugout. So that is the brain trust for Detroit. Kirk Gibson, of course, swatted one of the most famous home runs in the history of Major League Baseball against Eckersley. This one hit deep down the right field line, racing back Monroe, and there on the edge of the track to make the catch. Side retired, but Tommy Glavine steps up and drives in 2 runs with this chopper over the third baseman's head. 2 scored, all even at 2 apiece at the end of 5. Dodge trivia question for tonight. Obviously, we're going to make the topic catchers, in which 5 catchers have started 8 or more all-star games. Have started 8 or more all-star games. Mike Piazza trying to be that guy in 2004 once again, and Pudge Rodriguez has done it many times in his career. In fact, right now, the #1 vote getter among American League catchers. That was as of Tuesday night. Almost 270,000 more votes than Posada has right now. No Detroit Tiger has been voted in as a starter at any position since 1991. Cecil Fielder was voted in. This would be Pudge's 11th All-Star start as he rips that one into right field for a base hit. Boy, is he hot. He came in with a 14-game hitting streak. He's gone 2 for 3. His last 18 games, he's gone 32 for 69.
Well, he hits the ball all the way around. Right here, that's a pretty good pitcher's pitch. That ball is almost impossible to hit, and lines it to right center field off the end of the bat.
Perfect position and an off-speed pitch as well.
That brings up Dmitri Young. He's gone 1 for 2 with a home run. He knocked one over the left field wall in the 4th inning for his 2nd of the year. He lets that one go for ball 1.
There it is right here. Fastball hit out of the ballpark about 360 feet.
This is the heart of the order for the Tigers. Pudge Rodriguez on, Dmitri Young waiting on a 1-0 pitch. He lofts that one into center. Here comes Cameron. He'll play it on a bounce. Pudge Rodriguez into second. So they're at it again against Tom Glavine. That's now 7 hits off him.
And amazing thing tonight is all the balls that have been hard. Here, 2 leadoff singles for the Tigers in the 6th inning, and neither one of them have been hit hard. Just hitting the right spot.
One thing about Glavine in this ballgame, he has walked only 1 batter, but they've had numerous base runners.
And this is really more along the lines of Tom Glavine 2003 than 04, what we're seeing tonight.
Probably. And the big difference last year, he would have given up another hit in here, and it might be 4-2 or 5-2. I mean, Glavine tried to just do more than he was able to do last year, trying to be something other than Tom Glavine, who the Mets wanted, and that's all they wanted. Well, coming to New York, big crowds, etc., big expectations, big dollars, etc. So he tried to step it up. There's no need for that. He's got that figured out now. I mean, you're seeing the real Tom Glavine this year.
Outside on Rondell White, who has doubled in a run and grounded out to short.
6 times in his career, Tom Glavine has had an earned run average under 3. We're talking about we started this evening here, that 2.03 earned run average. 3 years in a row he was under 2, 96, 97, and 1998. He was under 3, I should say. That's pretty good pitching right there.
Got behind in the count at 2 balls and no strikes. Came back with this fastball here inside of the strike zone. That Rondell goes after the pitch and fouls it off.
It's a great decoy because it looks like it's coming in a strike zone and then goes out. I mean, that was a very good pitch on that count.
Illusion.
Rodriguez and Young leading on the bases. Trying to sneak that one inside, but not there for him. 3 balls and 1 strike. So now Glavine's getting into some dangerous territory.
This is really a hitter's pitch right here coming up. Make sure the ball is where you want it if you're the batter. And take it if it is not, because you're going to get another pitch after that that's going to be probably the same one.
Swing a high fly, but not deep into left center. Spencer moving over, lines it up. He's got it. The runners will hold at first and second. So Glavine gets that all-important first out. Now he can escape the inning with a double play if he can induce one from Craig Monroe here in a moment.
I think he got away with the pitch right there. Rondell White, Ralph was talking about a pitch. This is a hitter's count right here. And did he get away? It looked like he got the ball up. Well, that was where he got right down the middle.
Wow.
He said, thank you very much. Just don't look in the rearview mirror. Sometimes you just rather be lucky than good.
Well, you know, it's said in baseball circles all the time. A guy pitches a great game, but he gives up a home run. He says, well, that was the only mistake I made. Well, you know it wasn't. He probably made 14.
Yeah.
The runners go, and it's fouled back. So Trammell getting aggressive on a run and hit here. He sent Pudge Rodriguez and Dmitri Young, and it's fouled back by Monroe.
And that was a good play by Trammell. Runners got a big jump on that play. Unfortunately for the Mets, the ball fouled away. And it was a good pitch to hit right there. Watch this pitch. This is a good pitch to hit.
So can Glavine survive this inning when the hits have been falling in and he's getting away with mistakes on a night where he has tied it himself with a base hit, a 2-run single, and now the count 1-1 on Monroe. The changeup has not been real fine for Tommy tonight. That last pitch was a change at 81 miles an hour, and he's not been able to shave the corners with it as he has all season. The league's only hitting 184 against him, although much higher than that tonight. He's got Pudge Rodriguez behind him. Dmitri Young at first base, 1 down. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Well, last October, Pudge Rodriguez practically willed the Florida Marlins into the World Series. What a thrilling performance that was in the division series and then in the league championship against the Cubs. He almost personally beat the Giants in the first round. He had 353, 6 RBIs in the 4 games, half a dozen huge hits. Play on at second, throw, tag, not in time. And of course, there was that signature play in the division series at home plate. Remember, Pudge got decked at home plate in the series final play, that collision with JT Snow. Rodriguez bounced up to show that he had held on to the ball. He held it up like a gladiator in the Coliseum holding up a sword. A magnificent play to end that series. Popped up, foul territory. Phillips down the line and there to make the catch. Monroe pops up. Glavine gets a big second out.
Let's see where this pitch is, though. There's a good pitch right there. Hitter with first reaction. Monroe was upset with himself. That was a fine pitch. He hit his foot. He said, oh, I should have had that. He's either saying that or why did I swing at it? One or the other. As that was a fine pitch by Tom Glavine.
That brings up Omar Infante. He started the night at 258. He's hit 4 home runs. He struck out, walked, and stolen a base. Glavine started the inning, giving up consecutive hits to Rodriguez and Young. Maybe this is the inning where the worm turns for Tom Glavine. The Tigers have had a lot of great swings off him tonight, and many of them have fallen in. The Mets have played one of their better defensive games of the year so far behind him. But if he can get out of this inning without a run being scored and give his offense a chance to get back on the scoreboard, he's got to feel very fortunate. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Outside off the corner.
And some things you don't see Tommy Glavine do very often is miss by a lot. Those first 2 pitches here to this number 7 hitter they missed by a lot. This one is way outside. What Piazza's going to go to his right. That misses by an awful lot there. But you know what? Crafty old left-handers, they'll figure out a way. If there is a way, he'll find it.
Went inside that time, and it's not there for him. Ball 3.
This one came in off the plate and way inside.
Jason Smith on deck.
One thing about Glavine, he misses. When he misses, he doesn't miss in the strike zone. He misses outside the strike zone.
That is ball 4, and the bases are loaded. So he walks the number 7 hitter. He walks Infante for the second time, and they're all filled up.
Well, you don't know. This is a question going to be asked to Tommy Glavine. Did we walk Infante in that situation to get to the number 8 hitter?
Well, the number 8 hitter is Jason Smith, who came in this game hitting .455. He's not the regular shortstop.
And he's a left-hander. I mean, the possibility exists that he did that on purpose. That he walked that hitter on purpose to get out of this inning. And that's one of,
could be.
Could be. And that's one of the things you find out after the ball game.
Even though you push that go-ahead run to third base.
Yeah, you get another run scoring position at second base.
Well, he's got
he may have done it.
He's got the 8th place hitter up there now, and the pitcher's next. So he might have said, "Okay, I'm going to
go after this. I'm going to get the left-hander. Just give me the left-hander. I can get him out." He still is. It looks to me like he's searching for something that's going to work.
Well, I think you can afford to think that way when your command is pristine, when you're putting it where you want, but he's not been able to do it.
I know. But it's a question that will be asked, I would presume.
Sure. The 1-1. Foul tipped at the plate, so now he's ahead in the count. Detroit, incidentally, just 1 for 6 with men in scoring position tonight. Big crowd at Shea on a Friday. And it's starting to get noisy behind Glavine. 1 strike away from getting out of an inning that could have been disastrous and may yet be the 1-2. Swing and a miss. He got him. So now I'm dying to find out if that's what he did. I'm dying to find out. Glavine gets Jason Smith and leaves them loaded, and it's still tied 2-2 in the middle of the 6th. Glavine working out of trouble, and Tuesday at 9, catch Summerland, the WB's newest hit. They're looking to grab the lead here. They have not had it tonight, but the game tied 2-2, bottom of the 6th inning. Ralph Kiner, Tom Seaver, Dave O'Brien with you on what is Mike Piazza night at the ballpark, being honored in a really nice ceremony down on the field before the game, attended by Carlton Fisk and Yogi Berra and Gary Carter. Pudge Rodriguez also there taking part in the festivities. Here's Todd Zeile. He has gone over 2. Ralph Kiner as well down on the field, doing some of his finest work with his one-handed Hall of Fame wave.
I thought his speech was way too long, by the way.
Cut that down. Zeile 0 for 2. He has struck out and grounded out. Then it's Piazza and Shane Spencer due up against Nate Robertson. And the 26-year-old has been tough to hit. He's allowed only 4 hits. Way outside, though, on Zeile there. And it's 3-0.
Speaking of long speeches, when Bob Murphy went into the Hall of Fame of broadcasting, we all told him to make a short speech, and he enumerated the good years of the New York Mets and went on and on and on. And finally, Whitey Ford's wife Joan Ford said, well, I'm glad he didn't announce with the Yankees. They won a heck of a lot more games than the Mets. And we want to wish Bob a speedy recovery from his battle with lung cancer. And
indeed.
Certainly want to pass that word on to Bob.
Murph, we're thinking about you. We wish you nothing but the best and a fast recovery. Missed him down in Florida. We were down for the Marlins series. Yanked foul by Zeal. The count remains 3-2. Mets right now 5.5 back of the Florida Marlins in the National League East. The Cincinnati Reds about to visit Shea on Tuesday for a 3-game series. That is high for ball 4. So Zeal works a walk here in the 6th inning. And now a look at the Dodge trivia question and answer. Which 5 catchers have started 8 or more All-Star games in their career?
Well, it's not Roy Campanella, and you would think he would be one of them, but he only played 10 years in the major leagues.
Yogi and Johnny Bench here tonight, along with Gary Carter and Carlton Fisk. Mike Piazza's dad here, Vince as well, who was seen throughout the ceremony right on the edge of tears. And you want to talk about fatherly pride. Snap toss and almost into the outfield. That pulled Young off the bag. And Zeal gets back in.
Well, Bud's throwing from his knees and noted for a great arm. Zeal's probably saying, what are you throwing over here at me for? I can't run.
Yeah, where am I going? Swinging a high fly ball into left center. Piazza got under this one a tad, and Sanchez is there for the catch. Zeal will stay put. 1 down.
The difference between a fly ball to center field, a lazy fly ball, lazy high fly ball, and a home run is a fraction of an inch. Mike Piazza was right on that ball.
He is right in the heart of the bat where you want to make contact. Just a shade, a fraction of an inch underneath the pitch.
Ralph's talking about fraction. I mean, it was but a fraction of an inch.
Shane Spencer 0 for 2, fly to right and a strikeout. Goes aggressively after the first pitch, and he comes up empty for strike 1. One final across. The Oakland A's have won. They beat the Cubs 2-1 in interleague play. Sammy Sosa getting back off of the DL from that back injury, which came on because of a couple of violent sneezes. Check swing, lob, foul out of play, and it's 0-2 on Spencer. Back to that Piazza swing.
Right here, look at where that ball is on the bat. That's the so-called sweet spot, and he is just a fraction underneath that pitch. And he knows it.
The hitter will tell you, won't he?
Yeah.
Oh,
and the ball timed perfectly.
Fouled away at the dish by Spencer. Hidalgo up next.
One of the things about hitting, they say it's the hardest thing to do in sports. You got a round ball, a round bat, and you got to hit it square.
I think you've been talking to Ted Williams.
That's what he said all the time.
But I'll tell you, you must admit, on certain pitchers on certain days, it's the easiest thing to do, too, isn't it?
That's right. Certain pitchers.
2 strikes on Spencer. Zeal leading it first. Fastball zipped right in there. Got him looking. He was thinking something else. He got a 91-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah, Spencer looking for that breaking ball. The out pitch has been the slider from Robertson here tonight. There he stuck the fastball right by Shane Spencer. We've seen it happen twice tonight. It happened early in the ball game to Ty Wigginton, where it looked like with 2 strikes they're looking for that breaking ball, but they just walked right away from home plate, knew that they were dead late on the fastball and easily struck out.
Hidalgo now looking for his first hit as a New York Met. He has struck out and lined out hard to third. Sitting on 4 home runs, and it's been 169 at bats now for Richard since he last hit one out of the ballpark, and that is the longest homerless streak of his career. The off-speed pitch lands inside and low. In his career, Hidalgo a .214 hitter at Shea Stadium, so not yet one of his favorite parks. 9 out of 42 coming into tonight at Shea with 3 homers.
although he did hit .316 against the Mets last summer. That's along the outside corner for strike 2-1.
Well, the one thing that Robertson has done when he's had to make a pitch tonight, he's gone to that outside corner against the right-handers and just laid it right on the black outside.
And that's a good pitch to take with the count 2 balls and no strikes. It's a tough pitch to hit hard. And when you got a count in your favor at 2-0 or 3-1, you don't have to swing at a borderline pitch.
2-1, crack foul off to the left. Hidalgo coming to the Mets at a time when he is slumping. He also got benched by Jimmy Williams, the Astros manager. And Hidalgo jammed his neck on a diving play in right field not long ago. So, along with getting traded, it's not been a good 6 or 7 weeks for Richard Hidalgo.
It hasn't been a good season going for the manager either. He's on the verge of maybe finding another way of making a living.
Yeah, Jimmy Williams, I think you may be right. They just got swept by the Chicago Cubs. 4 straight. And the Astros supposed to be a much better ball club. Cliff Floyd not starting tonight. Has a little reading material there on the bench. I think that's the Tiger guide he's got there. The Tigers media guide.
The one that comes in 3 separate volumes?
I'm telling you, man. It's an encyclopedia. Swing, and it's shot foul. Off to the left, a hard shot by Hidalgo.
That's the biggest press guide that I have ever seen, this one. And this, players will read these a lot. They'll find out, you know, they look up history for certain players, what a guy does, hits and walks, strikeout ratio, etc. There's a lot of information in that.
Do you guys read them a lot as players?
Yeah, trying to find stuff out. Trying to find stuff out on broadcasters and stuff. And we need to look up stats on Kiner.
A little low, and the count 3-2 on Hidalgo. We talked about Hidalgo's arm, and obviously he was brought to the Mets for what he could bring offensively, what he's been able to do in the past. He had 22 outfield assists last year, the most by any player in the big league since 1991. 3-2, the runner goes, swinging a high fly ball left center field. Again, should be caught. Sanchez over, waiting, and he's got it. Side retired, no runs or hits, 1 man left. Hidalgo 0 for 3 so far against Robertson. As we say goodnight to our great friend Ralph Kiner, kind enough to join Mike Piazza down on the field as part of a Hall of Fame celebration there before the game. Mike getting all sorts of gifts, and they've actually been playing more of those gifts that he's receiving and has received on the Jumbotron throughout the game. He got a lot more than just the car, the watch, and the expensive bottle of vino. Got a great guitar earlier. They presented him with home plate when he hit home run 352. Nate Robertson now, the pitcher. He's gone head-to-head with Glavine and acquitted himself very well. He's held the Mets to just 4 hits in 6 innings. Alex Sanchez, the leadoff man after him. That one struck the bat twice, once on a follow-through there by Robertson. We were talking about how some players like interleague play, some don't. One guy really looking forward to it, and this is kind of the cool thing about interleague play, is Mike Maroth, who was one of the starters for the Detroit Tigers and came to some fame last year as that one's put in play. Backhand stab by Zeal, and Robertson is retired, 1 away. Maroth last year becoming the first pitcher in almost a quarter century, and there's Mike, to lose 20 games. Went 9-21, you may recall, for Detroit. Well, he grew up in Orlando, a big Atlanta Braves fan, and he idolized Tommy Glavine. So he was hoping for the opportunity to meet Tom Glavine. Of course, the only way is interleague play or spring training if they hook up, but that's hit or miss. And Maroth not to pitch in this series, but you know he's focusing on Tom Glavine. His style very similar to Glavine. And he's a much better pitcher than 9-21 would indicate. There's that old line, Tom, if you're going to lose 21 games in a season, you got to be pretty good to get out there for 35 starts.
They keep giving you the ball every time, you know, every time the 5th day runs around, they're going to hand you the ball. The ball's in your shoe. You are a pitcher. So this organization had myriad of troubles last year.
He's a Glavine-style pitcher. Trammell and Pudge Rodriguez helping turn things around. They're just 3 games under 500 coming into tonight. Sanchez not sure about that swing.
Sanchez hit the ball hard the first 2 times up. And then he tried to bunt his way on and was thrown out on a nice play by Piazza. And now it looks like maybe Tom Glavine has figured him out.
Sanchez had 40 hits in the month of May. We saw his bunting talent. That one's off the corner, 2-2. And with his terrific speed and his ability to drop the ball down on a bunt, you're looking at a guy who could wind up with 200 hits. He's hitting .335. The 2-2 from the lefty. Wigginton with it. It was hit right at Ty, and he throws on to Phillips for the second out. So he does not hit it hard this time. We check the Toyota line score now. Texas leading Florida in the 6th inning. Cleveland on top of Atlanta in the 6th. 9-2 Kansas City over the Phillies. The White Sox and the Expos 7-7 in the 7th. We told you about Sammy Sosa returning to the Cubs lineup and their loss to Oakland today. Milwaukee leading over Minnesota. Rain, Colorado. Later tonight, the Yankees and Los Angeles at Dodger Stadium. Brandon Inge has gone 1 for 3 with a first inning single. So he's batting at .284. Nobody on for him here. Glavine looking for a quick 1-2-3 7th. He also had a 1-2-3 5th and another in order in the 3rd. The innings they scored off him were the first inning, when really the Tigers came out firing. Hit shots everywhere, a number of which were scooped up by the Mets. Glavine throwing pitch number 99, and it's outside. And the 4th inning, a solo home run by Dmitri Young. It's been all the scoring off Tommy Glavine tonight. The 3-0 to Inge. She's taking all the way, and that's a little high for ball 4.
We talked about last inning. Tommy Glavine may have pitched around Omar Infante to get to Jason Smith, the left-handed hitter, even bases loaded. He did not do that in this situation on 4 pitches to get to Pudge Rodriguez. This is as bad as I've seen Glavine struggle in quite a while, but he has proven that even if you struggle, you can still pitch, get yourself and weave yourself out of trouble. He's the one guy that's really helped himself, and he's driven in 2 runs.
Rodriguez has gone 2 for 3 with a pair of singles. The #1 hitter in the American League. No one throwing in that bullpen. Rodriguez up to .360 now. And he's hitting 15 in a row, facing a man who has gone to 100 pitches now, and now 101. Pudge Rodriguez unable to agree to terms with the Florida Marlins after his sensational season last year. He was the MVP in the league championship series against the Cubs. As good as he was in that series against the Giants in the first round, the second round he was even better. He drove in 10 runs against the Cubs in that series.
That's the biggest swing as you're going to see Rodriguez take right there. He's ahead in the count, no balls, and a ball and no strikes, and he went after this. He's trying to hit this one out of the ballpark. He was guessing fastball, got fastball, but it was up the top of the strike zone and on the outer half. Pretty smart player, isn't he?
He has always been a really good hitter. And for all the Gold Gloves and the caught stealings, I mean, an absolute cannon behind that plate. He regularly hits 300. He has one of his boys on hand watching the ball game. Coming to the big city. Yeah, he looks just like Dad. It's going to be a lot of fun. A trip to New York. Here comes the 2-1 pitch. 2 down, a runner on. Rolled softly. Zeal has to hurry. Rodriguez runs well. Close and got him. That's another outstanding play from Todd Zeal. He's made a couple of them tonight. Bang, bang at first base, but he nips Rodriguez. Still tied at 2. The fans at Shea have had their 7th inning stretch as we check out the Toyota line score. 2-7-0 for the Tigers, 2-4-0 for the Mets. Ty Wigginton trying to change that line score here. He has singled and struck out. He scored a run in the 5th inning coming around on the Glavine 2-run, 2-out base hit. Tommy Glavine chopping one over the third baseman Brandon Inge's head. And that scored a couple of runs to tie it. Wigginton wails away and fouls it right behind Galante. You look back over the last 27 games now, Ty Wigginton has been locked in. He's hit safely in 19 of those 27 games. And he's hitting about 340 in that span. Down 2 strikes. Lets it go 1-2 now.
And you know, when he started that streak, David, you and I were doing the games. And he had a bad night the night before. He came out with the idea that said he was going to hit the ball to right field. He got a couple of hits, and since then he's hit the ball right on the button.
Oh, what a play by Inge, though, to steal a hit and gun him down at first base. Third base has been the position. Look at Wigginton glancing over there at Inge as if to say, how could you do that to me?
Well, he's picking it over there. That's called pick it, Nick, and hang with him, right? And a cannon over there to first base right on the money. Well, there'll be a broken bat single in there someday. I mean, somewhere for you, Ty Wigginton, but not tonight.
Inge was a shortstop and then a closer at Virginia Commonwealth University when he was in college. He was actually drafted as a closer, and then they converted him into a catcher. But apparently third base is his spot, judging by that play. Here's Mike Cameron.
Flashing that leather the way he's done it tonight. Looks like he knows what he's doing down there.
Mike with a bunt single in the 5th inning. He's also flied out as Batalico starts to get loose. And how do you think some of the roles are going to change in that bullpen without Dave Weathers now?
Well, you've got to I think what's happening, you think the Mets are going to get Scott Strickland back. That's one of them. So things are going to move. And I think they're very pleased with the way that Dan Wheeler is thrown as far as getting his feet wet at the big league level. And he has progressed and gotten better as the season has gone along. And there's a body count that is part of what goes on here. And if you have some strength and depth, the Mets had it in the bullpen. And if Strickland is about ready to come back, then it's time to move somebody on and try to help yourself offensively. This club, you never get enough. There's still things that everybody talks about not having enough pitching. Well, you never get enough runs either when you're not scoring.
That one skipped off the mound, backing up Infante into the outfield, but he throws on to get Cameron. 2 up and 2 down on a pair of ground balls. And here's your chance to meet Mets players in person at 2 Build-A-Bear Workshop locations on Saturday, June 19th. That would be tomorrow. Steve Traxel will be at the Build-A-Bear at Westchester Mall in White Plains from 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. Todd Zeal will be at the Build-A-Bear Workshop at Paramus Park Mall in Paramus, New Jersey from 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Don't miss it. For more information, visit www.buildabear.com or Mets.com. Swinging a high fly ball to left, shallow. Rondell White creeps to the line and makes the catch in foul territory. Jason Phillips retired, and Robertson continues to be very good. Tom Glavine going toe-to-toe with him, tied at 2.
Join us on Saturday, June 19th at Shea Stadium for the 8th annual Merengue Night, presented by Chevrolet and McDonald's. See the Mets battle the Detroit Tigers at 7:10 p.m. Make sure to stay after the game for a special concert by Sergio Vargas, Millie Quezada, and Ruby Perez. For your tickets, show up to Shea, call 718-507-TIXX, or log on to Mets.com.
Art Howe makes a pitching change. Tommy Glavine has been lifted. The Mets' upcoming schedule now brought to you by your Honda dealers. Tomorrow, Al Leiter on the mound at 7 in Game 2. Steve Traxel on Sunday afternoon. Both of those here in the WB11. And then the Cincinnati Reds are in town for 3. And, of course, the Mets will be taking on the Yankees at Yankee Stadium next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday night also on the WB11. So Batalico comes on. Tommy Glavine, after 7 innings, is removed from the game. It says a lot about the season that Tommy is having, that he didn't have his best stuff tonight, but he allows only 2 runs in 7 innings.
A little bit of luck and a little bit of pitching, a little bit of savvy and guile, etc. Get a line drive hit right at somebody, and that's it's all about.
Oh, he got some great defense behind him.
Yeah, and deservedly, because he pitches quickly, puts the ball in play, and he is not a strikeout pitcher. And his defense is always on the alert, ready to help him out.
Been one of those good nights with the glove for the Mets. There've not been enough of those, but Glavine threw 104 pitches. Big swing and a miss by Young, trying for his second home run of the ball game.
Dmitri Young reminds me of Alex Johnson, who was a great right-hand hitter for the California Angels back in the 70s. I mean, a real violent swing that he had. Very quick bat.
Oh,
got him out.
Indeed it did. His helmet goes flying. He's all right. And Young will take his base, but Talico upset with himself. He hits a batter on an 0-2 pitch.
Looked like it hit him on the wrist or the shoulder, one of the two. Fastball trying to get it in there. Hit him right off the edge of the shoulder and bounced up and took his helmet off. Take a listen to this. Oh, straight to the helmet. Never even hit the shoulder. Yeah, I'm fine. Is that old school or what? I'm fine. I'm fine.
So he's the guy who wants to stay in the lineup. He's just recently back after suffering a fractured fibula back in early April. So he doesn't want to come out. So that'll bring up Rondell White, who has doubled in a run, grounded out, and flied out. All of that against Glavine. Tommy tonight, 104 pitches, 57 for strikes. And usually when he really has the A game humming along, many more strikes than that. But he will have no decision in this one, as that one's fouled back by Rondell White.
And a lot of times, David, it's not a matter of strikes, too. It's how much you miss by. And a lot of times you'll see Tommy Glavine pitch, and he'll miss by 3 or 4 inches. But he missed 6 to 8 inches sometimes tonight. And he just doesn't do that when he is sharp.
And yet you go back to the line score and you say 7 innings, 2 runs, that's all. Struck out 4, walked 3. It's a really good night for a lot of good pitchers.
It's a terrific night.
Yeah.
But you know what? Tommy Glavine knows that it was just a matter of a number of things. And again, one of them being pitching, too. And a little bit of luck. Yeah. You know, you almost take a no decision here. Take a tie.
At the end of the night, though, you got to feel good when you put in that kind of effort.
Oh,
when you don't have your best stuff, and it's 2-2 when you leave.
That's the objective. I mean, you hear about, you and I talk about this all the time. Quality starts. What's quality start? And today, it's 6 innings and 4 runs or whatever. It's some god-awful sort of ratio, where in reality, it should be 7 innings and 3 runs or less. And somebody somewhere has changed the definition of quality start. Well, you got it from Glavine tonight, no question. And you take that every time you go out there. You don't take how you went about it or the stuff that you had to go out there. We've seen Tommy, a couple of times we've had him on our broadcast. It has been a couple of times almost unfair. And you didn't see a lot of real bad off-balance swings tonight, where hitters are totally fooled by the speed, location. You didn't see much of that.
The 1-2 pitch, cut on and missed. He struck him out. Rondell White down on strikes.
And it looked like a little slider, maybe a splitter. Looked right in the middle of the plate, but great late movement. And Rondell White right over the top of him.
That brings up Craig Monroe. He's done a real nice job patrolling right field tonight. He's made some nice running catches. Both sides have played excellent defense. And that first one is in there for a strike. He's gone 1 for 3 with a base hit in the second inning. Well, the Tigers at one point last year on the 22nd of April, in fact, were 1-17. Ground ball third. Zeal up and over to Wigginton. On to first, double play. But Talico gets the ground ball right at his third baseman. 5-4-3 and out of the inning. The Mets try and take their first lead of the night when we come back. Bottom of the 8th coming up as we give a look at the G game summary. And as we head to the last half of the 8th, 2-2 tie. Tom Glavine done after 7 quality innings. Gives up 7 hits and a couple of earned runs. Also had a 2-run single that tied it. Dmitri Young with a solo homer. So far, Richard Hidalgo without a hit as a Met. Mike Cameron with a run-scoring single. I should say with a run and a single.
Here's Gerald Williams hitting .333. 1 homer, 1 run batted in. Kaz Matsui after him, and then Todd Zeile. Locked up 2-2. Mets with just 4 hits so far. Mike Piazza has one of them. Wiggins and Cameron and Glavine the others. That's Braden Looper loosening. The left-hander still out there is Nate Robertson for Detroit. And he has been cutting through the Mets tonight. The only guy that he really had trouble with was Tom Glavine. Now Glavine still warming up in the bullpen for the Tigers. Williams swings and misses, and that is all for him. Robertson makes quick work of Gerald Williams.
That's just a fastball on the inside part of the plate, and a good one. Still some pop from the Tiger pitcher.
He struck out 6. So far, quiet night for Kaz Matsui against Robertson as you look at his pitch total up to 101.
He's just about on target. You average about 15 pitches per inning, and he is into the 8th inning. You try to get to this 8th and 9th inning, about 100 pitches, maybe 95 pitches. Everybody has a pitch count, just different for individual pitchers.
A strike to Matsui. He's flied to right twice and grounded out to second, 0 for 3. So he has a 6-game hit streak on the line. Knee high for a strike, and it's 1-2. Matsui has been staying away from strike 3 here in mid-June, doing a much better job putting the bat on the ball. And the average has been lifted up slightly to 263. Right back to the middle, knocked down by the pitcher. Backside of the hill, Robertson off balance, and he threw him out, but he's hurt. He is hurt. He may have twisted an ankle. Robertson in pain as he runs away from the pitcher's mound. An awkward play, off balance, and something's amiss with Nate Robertson.
Well, this is the fine defensive play the pitcher makes. Second one that we have seen in this ball game tonight. Looks like it hit his Achilles tendon. Good recovery, and gets the out. Let's see if it hits the back of his leg. Looks like it hit him in about 4 different places, and maybe he cut his toe on the grass when he was running off the mound. He is hurting somewhere. Is he going to be able to shake it off? 26 years old, this young left-hander. When you looked at the numbers that he had last year, he gave up a bundle of base hits and walks relative to innings pitched. Another look at it again up the middle, hit him on the left leg, looked at the right leg, and it also looked like it hit on the right, or the right forearm.
I would not have guessed that ground ball was hit sharply enough to hurt him. This is something else.
No, it looks like maybe he caught his. It looked like it might have caught his spike in the back of the mound.
Kevin Rand, the trainer, helping him up, stretching him out a little bit there. I know the hope is he's cramped up, and it's an easy night to do that because it is very warm.
He wants to get back on the mound. Let me see if I can throw. And the trainer's going to say no. Let me see if I can throw.
He's still stepping awkwardly and painfully. Now there is activity. They have the right-hander Glavine. He's been throwing in the bullpen if they want to go to him here with the batter Todd Zeile and Piazza coming up. So a couple of right-handers. Another look.
One hop off. It looked like it hit the right Achilles heel, and maybe right there stumbling hit his toe. Alan Trammell, the manager, is playing National League Baseball here tonight. You're going to have to pull a double switch.
He's going to take Robertson out of the ball game. This call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. Make progress every day, and we'll be right back. We'll tell you all about the new Tiger pitcher in a moment. Every weekday morning at 5:30, you can join John Muller Lynn White. And hitting the mound is the right-hander Al Glavine as Bobby Higginson takes over in right field, part of that double switch Tom was talking about. So Monroe is out. Glavine is in, pitching for his 4th club since the 2001 season, and that's a high ERA, Tom Seaver.
High ERA, and he has bounced around Kansas City, Tampa Bay, Anaheim, Texas, Chicago. Chicago White Sox in the American League.
Nobody's moved around like the guy he's facing here, Todd Zeile, who's played for 11 clubs.
And is it true that the Mets, the only club he has come back to and had another cup of coffee?
That is correct.
That's correct.
0 for 2 tonight. He struck out and grounded out. Trying to better a 1 for 14 homestand. Bases empty here. 2 down in the 8th. 2-2 tie. And that looked like a slider along the outside corner. Piazza next. Love to hit in this inning. 2-2 now on Zeile. A win tonight improves the Mets to 2 games under 500. So a sweep would get them back to 500 with Cincinnati coming in on Tuesday. Reds are playing pretty well again. Up the middle, clean base hit. Zeile has singled his first base knock of the night. New York has not led in the ball game.
Well, good 2-strike hitting right here. Fastball on the outside part of the plate. Not quite on the corner. Good bat direction by Todd Zeile. And guess who's coming to the plate?
It would be quite appropriate for Mike Piazza to put the Mets in the lead for the first time this evening with a big fly with his dad looking on. And along with a big Shea crowd on a Friday, he's 1 for 3 with a single. Line shot, that's going to drop down for a base hit. Zeile romps into second. He stops there. So no home run for Mike, but he is 2 for 4. And the go-ahead run for the Mets is now at second.
Well, back-to-back 2-out singles by the Mets. You don't see Mike Piazza swinging at the first pitch very often. I was very surprised at that. And there's his dad looking at the second base hit for Piazza on the evening. Mike a lot of times likes to take that first pitch to get a look at the hit at the pitcher and the velocity and release point from the pitcher.
Bard Howe going to his bench. Cliff Floyd, who did not start, as the Tigers had a left-hander out there, and Nate Robertson. It'll be Cliff Floyd to face the right-hander. So Floyd ready to pinch hit here with runners at first and second and 2 down in a 2-2 tie, 8th inning. Cliff being announced. Now they do get Walker, Jamie Walker, going in the bullpen. Question is, has he warmed up long enough to be brought in to face Cliff Floyd? Will they make that move here? Hidalgo's on deck. Richard Hidalgo, right-hand hitter. Trammell up on top of that step, and here he comes. So Alan Trammell, the Detroit skipper, marching out to the hill. This call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. Make progress every day. And we'll be back in just a moment. Tom Seaver, Dave O'Brien. The left-hander Jamie Walker comes out of the Tiger pen. And he'll be facing Cliff Floyd, who will be left in to face him. Floyd hitting .275, 6 homers, 24 runs batted in, and there are 2 aboard with 2 down in the 8th. Right after the first one, and he missed it. 88 miles an hour, and strike 1. Against righties, he is 39 points better.
High fastball went right after it. One thing about Cliff Floyd, he has done well with men in scoring position this year. Hitting over 300, 310.
Floyd, time and time again in his career, has had a left-hander brought in to face him, and he's broken up that strategy with a hit. Well, a hit here would put the Mets in the lead for the first time in the game. Fouls that one away to the left side, and it's 0-2. Coming into this season, Cliff Floyd was a .293 hitter against left-handers, .282 against right-handers. So at least in terms of average, he's been better against southpaws. Walker is the lefty specialist. Two strikes, 2 on, 2 out. Swing and a miss. He got him. A roundhouse cut and a miss by Floyd, and Walker fans him. 2 men left. We're still tied 2-2 as we go to the 9th at Shea. Every weeknight, don't miss the award-winning WB11 News at 10. 9th inning, the Tigers 2 and the Mets 2. 2 changes for New York. Gerald Williams stays in the game to play left. So that is all for Shane Spencer. And Braden Looper coming on to work the 9th inning here will face 7, 8, 9.
Well, they go to the closer out of the bullpen to hold it in this tie ball game, and you get to the 9th, get your closer in there, give yourself your best chance to win. That's exactly what Art Howe is doing. And this is a situation where you might get your closer, have him work 2 innings as opposed to just 1.
Omar Infante will be the first man in the box in the 9th. And due up for the Mets in the bottom of the 9th, Hidalgo, Wigginton, and Cameron. Both starters out of the ball game. Both of them pitched well enough to win statistically. Nate Robertson had to leave the game because of a leg injury. We've not been told what that entails yet. But he went 7 2/3. Gave up 2 runs, 4 hits. Tom Glavine went 7. He allowed 7 hits, 2 runs. So the 2 left-handers acquitted themselves quite well. Although Glavine's command not as pristine as it has been, and what is bound to be an all-star campaign for Tom Glavine. Tommy came in with a top ERA, not just in the National League, but in the majors at 2.03. Looper in the 9th, 1 ball and 1 strike on Infante. A base hit to left. Looper broke his bat, but Infante will take the hit. A leadoff single.
The bottom part of the lineup for the Tigers have been relatively quiet here this evening, but here the number 7 hitter, Infante, leadoff single on a ball strike fastball just by the diving Zeal.
Smith up there now with an average of 385 and a homer and 4 runs batted in. He's already showing bunt. Drops it down, well placed. Phillips will sling it on. Close play, but got him, and into second moves Infante. So that's the go-ahead run in scoring territory now for Detroit.
Well, perfectly placed bunt by Jason Smith. Nicely executed. Decent speed at first. And knees bent. Good technique right there, as you would expect from a team managed by Alan Trammell. The little things that don't have numbers that lead to winning ball games. I don't think the Tigers were doing that last year.
You lose 119 games, and you're certainly not doing it often enough.
You got to find a whole bunch of ways to lose, don't you?
You betcha. Here's Higginson now. He's been a reliable RBI guy in the past for Detroit. In 2000, he drove in 102 runs. In 97, he drove in 101. He lets the first one go, and that's across for a strike. The Tigers just 1 out of 7 with runners in scoring position in this game. So Glavine and Batalico, when they had to be, they tossed the pitch that they needed to get out of the inning, and now Looper's going to have to do the same thing without a run being scored. The 0-1 pitch. Slapped it the other way and foul. 93 miles an hour from Looper. Yeah, this is a much different Tiger team than the disaster of last year, and it started well for them. They won their first 4 games of the season. Last year, they lost their first 9 games of the season. And they really kept it going. It wasn't just the first week. They went on to go 12-11 in the month of April. I mean, that's a huge accomplishment for a ball club that lost as much as Trammell's team did last year. To win more than you lose the following April.
Well, they go out and they sign Pedro Rodriguez. They brought a whole different kind of attitude to the ballpark this year. There's no question about that. That's one of the things Rodriguez was talking about when he signed with us, Detroit Tiger Ball Club. This is unacceptable. I'm not buying it. Certainly the organization was not buying it. This is one of the classic franchises in the history of the game of baseball.
The 1-2 pitch to Higginson. Ground ball right side. Wigginton sets up, bobbles it, and will have no play. So the Mets, who have played tremendous defense all night, here in the 9th inning when they need it the most in a 2-2 tie, it lets them down. Wigginton committing an error on a routine grounder.
The defense's bug jumps up and bites him right here. That's right off the wrist. Wigginton must have taken his eye off the ball. Higginson with good speed easily makes it to first. And the 59th error for the Met defense. They made 3 errors in the ball game a couple of nights ago. And that was an easy routine play. He's going to bring out Art Howe, the manager of the Mets, to see how they want to play this.
Well, obviously the factor of Sanchez's ability to drop down the bunt has this conference going full swing now on the mound, because this is a guy who can send a defense spinning in about 8 different directions.
Now the question is, I mean, you almost have to play this like a 1-run game. And how are you going to get out of this? You've got to strike this batter out. You've got to strike Sanchez out. If he's a strikeout type of hitter, leadoff hitter, you would just expect not that he would be that kind of hitter. So do you play it as a 1-run game and almost load the bases and try to get yourself a double play for the number 2 hitter? And it's whether you believe that this is in your heart that this is going to be a 1-run game or the other. I mean, you can't. It's going to be impossible to play for a double play with Sanchez at the plate. Therefore, you got to bring the infield in.
No, they're not going to walk him.
Yeah, he doesn't want. Art Howe does not want another runner in scoring position.
Well, this is trouble here as Sanchez drops down the bunt. That is a foul ball, or is it a fair ball? It's a fair ball. He tagged him out. A fair ball, and he's out at the plate. Mike Piazza pouncing on it. Tagged him out. He got him. Trammell is out to argue it.
Well, Trammell's out there trying to defend Sanchez. That ball was in fair territory, bounced and foul, went into fair territory. Piazza did a good job to let that ball go and come out in the fair territory. And you're out. That's a bad play when a man's got great speed in the infield right there.
Well, you got to be running.
Oh.
You got to be running.
Well, you got to be running. You got to be swinging the bat. How in the world do you get infield in, runners at first and third? How in the world can you be bunting? The most you could do, if you do bunt in this situation, is get the situation Art Howe would love to have, the bases loaded.
But as close as it was, how can you just stand there at the plate and argue with the umpire?
Because there's 2 terrible plays in one.
Yeah, you got to force him to make a throw. Now Higginson reacted well. He jogged down to second base, so he's there. And Fonte over at third, but now they're 2 down. Sanchez bunts to the catcher. Now, he knew the bunt was going to factor sooner or later in that play with Sanchez. But Piazza didn't wait. He jumped right out there and grabbed it just inches fair.
But why would you bunt? That's the whole thing. That is exactly what the Mets would like you to do. Just so they can get the second out. The bane of young players.
Higginson halfway down. He really wasn't sure whether it was fair or foul.
It is a learning process.
So it winds up a sacrifice bunt. Here's Carlos Guillen hitting .323 with 10 home runs. Swinging a good bat right now. His last 40 games batting .342 with 8 homers. So Looper's not out of the inning yet. He hits for Inge, and it is outside for ball 1. 2 down, but runners at second and third for Detroit here in the 9th inning in a 2-2 tie. Looper trying to hold. High High fly ball left center. Cameron backing up, racing back, sees it. He's got it. That's all for the Tigers in the 9th inning. They strand runners at 2nd and 3rd. Hidalgo, Wigginton, and Cameron coming up. And we're off to the home half of the 9th inning as the Mets try and win this thing. Couple of changes for the Tigers. Guillen stays into the ball game, and he is at short. And Smith moves to 3rd base from shortstop. And the new pitcher is Danny Patterson. A right-hander is 0-3, facing Richard Hidalgo here. Hidalgo could make a lot of new friends in a hurry with a game-winning homer in his Met debut. He's 0 for 3. First pitch is in there for strike 1. Richard tonight has struck out, lined out to 3rd, and flied to center. Just acquired after 5.5 seasons with the Houston Astros. A couple of those seasons really terrific years with the bat. Inside, almost hit him. He flinched and he looked back at Tim McClellan. 1 ball and 1 strike. It's Wigginton next and then Mike Cameron. 9th inning, 2-2 tie. He's faced Patterson once and he got all of it. Ground ball up the middle. And Fonte with a stop, off balance throw, beautifully done to get him. Hidalgo denied a hit. And Fonte with a rangy play to the middle for out number 1.
That ball had base hit written all over it going up the middle. And look at the play by the second baseman. 1 step and a strike to first base. This is normal speed. And Hidalgo hustling all the way, but an outstanding defensive play.
These are two teams, frankly, who do not play great defense on a regular night, but tonight they've both been superb. Wigginton, in fact, has made the game's only error. He's gone 1 for 3 at the plate, scoring a run in the 5th inning. That was when Tom Glavine drove in 2 with a chopped single over the 3rd baseman's head. And it's been 2-2 ever since. Hidalgo 0 for 4. At least so far. Bounding ball foul. 0-2 on Wigginton. The outfield playing straight away and very deep in left and in center. As you look around the infield, and they're backed up at short and second base as well. The 3rd baseman Smith over near that line. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Fouled off the end of the bat off to the right.
So they're playing defense doubles. No doubles. Don't get a man to scoring position. Keep the ball in front of you. They give you the blooper. They'll make you get 2 hits to get a man to scoring position. That's the defense here. The outfield all the way around, extremely deep. Center fielder looks like he's over by the Whitestone Bridge, doesn't he?
Sanchez is out there. He's a rumor. Line drive caught by Smith on the leap. He was just shifted over from short to 3rd. And Wigginton has it stolen. That's the 2nd hit he's lost tonight.
We've seen some balls taken away from hitters that would have been base hits. That's a fine player right there. Not hit right on the button, but hit very well by Wigginton.
Boy, Ty Wigginton ought to have 3 hits.
Yep.
Inge robbed him in the 7th inning, and now Smith, who takes over for Inge, robs him again. And here's Mike Cameron now. Last chance for the Mets to win it in the 9th inning. It's a 2-2 tie. Lofted foul down the line for strike 1. Mike with a bunt single in the 5th inning. Cameron did homer last night in the Mets 6-2 beating of the Cleveland Indians. That was his 8th of the year. Patterson from the high set, and the 0-1 pitch. Drifted down and in for ball.
Have you seen the new ballpark in Detroit?
I have not been to Comerica, no.
I have not seen it either.
Our director Bill Webb loves it.
Yeah, I get rave reviews about it.
Yeah, Webby said it's not intimate, but it's really big, too. Here's the 1-1 pitch. That's downstairs. 2-1. The Tigers with 8 hits. The Mets have 6. Detroit has hit the game's only homer off the bat of Dmitri Young in the 4th against Tom Glavine. No decision tonight for the Mets left-hander, who pitched 7 innings, allowing 2 runs. 2-2 on Cameron. Oakland beat the Cubs 2-1 in interleague play. Kansas City pummeled Philadelphia 10-4. Seattle snuck by the Pittsburgh Pirates 5-4. Looks like the Indians are about to beat Atlanta 4-2 Cleveland. That game in the 8th inning. Texas is leading the Marlins 7-1. They're in the 8th. Later tonight, the Yankees at the Dodgers. It is at Dodger Stadium. Mets fans looking to rally tonight on a Friday at Shea Stadium. Game 1 of a 3-game series against Detroit. Patterson's 2-2. Swinging a high drive. Deep left. Mike Cameron, you are walking off a winner. That's the ball game. Mike Cameron wins it. 2 down, 9th inning, and he touches them all to make the Mets a 3-2 winner over the Detroit Tigers. Number 9 from Mike Cameron. He belted one last night, and on Mike Piazza night, which was a night celebrating home runs by number 31. Mike Cameron launches one to left field, a game winner, a walk-off job as the Mets win it by a final score of 3-2. Our GM turning point of the game, and you guessed it.
A no-doubter, a hanging breaking ball right there, middle of the plate. And see you later, Mike Cameron. His 9th home run of the year. Very fitting on this night to tribute to Mike Piazza and his home runs. The Mets win with a home run in the bottom of the 9th with a couple outs.
Mike Cameron wins it. 3 runs, 7 hits, 1 error for the Mets. 2 runs on 8 hits and no errors for the Tigers. The Mets in the win column on a Friday in interleague play. Coming up next, the news at 10 with Jim Watkins and Kaidi Tong. For Tom Seaver and Ralph Kiner, I'm Dave O'Brien. Thanks for joining us. Nice night for Mike Cameron and the New York Mets in the win column. 3-2 the final.
And at Shea tonight, they honored Mike Piazza for being the all-time home run hitting catcher. It was quite a collection of legends on hand. The 4 living Hall of Fame catchers at Shea, Yogi Berra, Gary Carter, Johnny Bench, and Carlton Fisk, presenting Piazza with the home plate from the night he set the record. And Piazza's former Dodger manager Tommy Lasorda there as well. He pretty much got Piazza into the majors. An emotional night for the Mets catcher.
I am so blessed to have such great people close to me. And just as important is the support from all of you fans here who have welcomed me into your family.
As for the game against Detroit, tied at 2 in the top of the 9th, Braden Looper in relief. Go-ahead run on 3rd, Alex Sanchez with the bunt. That's a fair ball. Sanchez doesn't run. Piazza makes the tag, and the Mets get out of the inning. Now 2 outs. Bottom of the 9th inning, Mike Cameron batting against Danny Patterson. And a game-winning home run for Mike Cameron. A dramatic night all around at Shea. They win it 3-2. Cameron gets mobbed at home plate.
Piazza Night at Shea Stadium as the Mets begin a 3-game series with the Tigers. Piazza honored for becoming the all-time home run leader for catchers. Piazza greeted by greats Yogi Berra, Carlton Fisk, former Met Gary Carter, Johnny Bench, and Pudge Rodriguez. He was given a little gift. Hey, Mike, where's the party?
Hello.
And a car to boot.
Stop.
Give me the keys. Now to the game. Top of the first, Rondo White sends it to right. That's trouble for Shane Spencer. Brandon Inge scores. Dmitri Young gets greedy. He had one too many biscuits for breakfast. He is out at the plate. Mets down 2-zip in the fifth. Tom Glavine can hit a base hit to left field. Ty Wigington and Mike Cameron score. We're tied up at 2. Stays that way until 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth inning. Cameron wins it with this homer. The Mets beat the Tigers 3-2. Here's Piazza on that pregame ceremony.
I'm so overwhelmed by the class of, these gentlemen up here, and not only were they great players, but they're so gracious in their, just their wishes, and I really feel like they've been pulling for me. So, I truly hope someday someone passes me so I can sort of pass the torch on as well, because I think it's it just shows what a great fraternity, this position is.
Piazza, the all-time leading home run hitting catcher in the game, got his due tonight. It was Mike Piazza Night at Shea Stadium as his fans and mates cheered him on. Some of the all-time catching greats gathered to give Piazza the home plate that was at Shea the night Piazza became the all-time home run leader. Piazza also received a new car.
My teammates with those wonderful gifts. All I could say is, wow, I can't wait to retire now.
And then they played ball against Detroit. Richard Hidalgo, in his first game as a Met since being traded from the Astros over to Queens, went 0 for 4. Tom Glavine got the start in this one. He trailed 1-0 in the top of the fourth when Dmitri Young just smacked one deep to left. Shane Spencer goes back to the wall but runs out of room here. 2-0 Tigers. But watch Glavine help his own cause in the fifth. A 2-run single off Nate Robertson. That tied it at 2. It stayed that way until the bottom of the ninth. 2 outs. Mike Cameron swats it off the reliever, Danny Patterson, headed out for a walk-off home run. The Mets come back to win it 3-2. How about that?
Wide open. It's going to be a battle, but if we continue to get better and stay healthy, we're going to do some good things.
Floyd on the line, makes the catch.
So whatever you have to do, at least give yourself the best chance to succeed. And not worry about anything but getting the job done.
Base hit, and the Mets win it.
I really enjoy coming to the park. I love my job, and to go out there and hear these people chant for you, it's awesome.
Mike Stanton has appeared in over 900 Major League Baseball games. His success over his career has been dictated more by his mentality than by his athletic ability.
Well, I think that attitude I was talking about, that aggressive attitude, it doesn't really matter what you go out there with, because the hitter doesn't know. You're coming out of the bullpen, they haven't seen a pitch yet. So a lot of it is just the attitude you carry out there.
Mike's approach on the mound is simple, straightforward, and with one purpose.
The way I approach hitters is I'm trying to get you out on every single pitch. I don't set pitches up. I don't pitch around people. If they want me to pitch around somebody, they better just stand up and tell me to walk them, because I'm trying to get everybody out. And that's just my style. And I think most relievers that have had any kind of success in this game have that ultra aggressive style, because if you back off at all, you're going to throw one down the middle and it's going to go out of the park. I really don't know if there's any other way to go about this business.
Mike has been going about his business in the major leagues for 16 seasons, which has allowed him to appear in some very big games. But Mike has learned a very simple lesson from all those big games.
I think what it's proven to me more than anything else is the game has never changed. The game doesn't change. It doesn't matter if you're playing in April. It doesn't matter if you're in March in spring training or if you're in October in the World Series. You still have to throw the ball. You still have to catch the ball. You still have to hit the ball.
Mike can keep the game in perspective, but he does relish the game's pressure moments and, more importantly, knows how to deal with them.
Those games are going to be tight. They're going to come down to to one batter somewhere late in the game, and that's really what you live for as a reliever. Even if you're not a closer, a lot of times, somebody pitches the 9th inning, but the game was really saved in the 8th or in the 7th. We as relievers can come into certain situations and not seem to be flustered. Is that we have to simplify the situation. My job is to make a pitch, and by doing that, all the other external distractions can be put aside.
Mike also has another simple reason to explain his success.
There's no doubt the Lord has just blessed me. He's blessed me with a great family, but He's also blessed me with a very resilient left arm. And I think I've done, especially over the last probably 6 or 8, maybe even 10 years, I've done things to try and help that by keeping my body in shape, keeping my body strong. But you have to start somewhere, and it's obviously just started with a God-given ability.
Although Mike Stanton has only started 1 game in his Major League career, the Mets want him to help them finish a lot more wins this season. Let's see what happened this week in Mets history. On June 16th in 1997, the Mets' Dave Malecki pitched a complete game shutout as the Mets defeated the Yankees in the first ever regular season matchup between the two teams. That was this week in Mets history. As promised, in the studio segment, we'll feature Jim Duquette, my special guest. And Duke, talk to us about the recent draft.
We felt real good about the draft we had. Obviously, our scouts have done a terrific job. We drafted, of the top 15 rounds, we had 8 pitchers, and that's really been our MO over the years. We've always been a pitching-rich organization, try to develop pitchers, and obviously with Rick Peterson here, that adds to the importance of our pitching. So we were real pleased with the first pick, that the 3rd overall, to draft a kid named Philip Humber, who's out of Rice University, very accomplished pitcher there. His fastball is in the 90 to 94 mile-an-hour range, with a real hard breaking curveball, late breaking curveball, like an Aaron Seeley type of curveball, and he has a real good changeup. So he's a guy that we feel has very little change or mechanical change that we have to make to him, and is a guy that could come pretty quickly.
As you know, years ago, it used to be light years away from being a #1 draft pick to the major leagues, or being any draft pick and getting to the major leagues. Is it the same today, or is it closer?
Well, in some instances, it is a lot closer. There's more pressure these days to have young, inexpensive players that you've developed and signed playing at the major league level, and it helps you afford more of a player at the, let's say, as a free agent. So, your tendency in the past, even 10 years ago, was to step by step, methodically have guys jump from one level to the other. And now with a guy like our top pick, when we're investing the amount of money that we're talking about, you want to see that investment come to fruition at the major league level as soon as possible. So there is that push or that desire to get him up to the big league level.
Recently in Minnesota, I had a chance to talk to Ron Gardenhire, who's now managing the Twins, played in New York for the Mets. Talking to him about your center fielder, Mike Cameron, struggling right now. And I said, you know, the announcers talk about it, on radio they talk about it, newspapers have in New York. It's all New York. I said, big difference between New York and, say, Minnesota? He said, absolutely. With that in mind, when you draft kids, you got to know the intangibles, but that's almost impossible to figure out. How difficult?
It's difficult, but I mean, we don't want to. We don't want to get too caught up in narrowing the pool of candidates because of makeup. We're trying to draft on ability, and if it comes down to a close first or second choice, we'll take the makeup every time. But if there's a dramatic difference, we're going to take the talent. And then once they're in our system, we have 2 or 3 years to really find out about the guy. We're seeing him every single day, and we'll get a better read on the makeup because guys change. You know, a guy that may not be a good guy in college turns into a real quality person, you know, down the road, or a guy that might fit into your clubhouse. So you can make mistakes when you start dealing at that level, and I'd rather be the team that has the talent, has the player, because he has value somewhere. If he doesn't have value in New York, he maybe has value in a trade.
You picked a catcher, I believe, within the first 5 rounds. What does that tell the Met fan?
Well, kid Hathaway out of University of Washington. He's a kid that he has a Jason Kendall type of body and with above average speed, and really can catch and throw. You know, we've had some depth in our catching and at the upper levels, and we really, after the AA level with Justin Huber, we have an opening or a hole there. So it's good to have another, hopefully a wave of catchers starting with the Hathaway kid.
Well, Duke, I want to thank you very much, and good luck with all the young kids you just drafted. My special guest, General Manager with the New York Mets, Jim Duquette. Stay with us, more right after these messages. The success of the Mets AA affiliate in Binghamton has been due in large part to David Wright. David has spent most of his time at third base while amassing some impressive offensive numbers this season. The native of Chesapeake, Virginia, was recently moved up to AAA Norfolk Tides, and a move to New York may be in the future for David. David Wright, another impressive player the Mets have in the system.
This Father's Day, take your dad to Shea. Come see the Mets battle the Tigers on Sunday, June 20th at 1:10 p.m. All men in attendance will receive a blue Mets visor courtesy of the Sports Authority. Dads love baseball, so treat him to a special day at the ballpark. For your tickets, show up at Shea, call 718-507-TIXX, or log on to Mets.com.
Let's see who the Mets have on deck. Starting Friday, the Mets continued their interleague play and host the Detroit Tigers for 3 games at Shea Stadium. This year's Tigers feature Ivan Pudge Rodriguez. Pudge, whose defense and timely hitting helped the Marlins to a world championship in 2003, has helped the Tigers climb out of the cellar in the American League Central this season. The Friday and Saturday games against Detroit will begin at 7 p.m. and appear on WPIX. Sunday's game starts at 1 in the afternoon and will also be shown on WPIX. Following an off day on Monday, the Mets host the Cincinnati Reds for 3 games. The New York fans will have the chance to see Ken Griffey Jr., who has finally recovered from the injuries that have kept him off the field for much of the past few seasons. Junior is once again near the top of the majors in home runs and RBIs. Tuesday and Wednesday's games will both begin at 7 p.m. and they will both appear on MSG Network. Thursday's game will start at 1 in the afternoon and it will be seen on Fox Sports New York.